We'll be live as soon as YouTube catches up with us.
Yeah, I see the live thing up in the corner.
Yep, it's not.
And there it is. Now we all got to mute YouTube.
Yep.
It's not showing for me yet.
It's running.
Yep. So if you two want to introduce yourselves, if we've got anybody in the Hangouts who doesn't know you yet.
Yeah, sure. I'm May Bowen. I have two of my own channels, May Bowen and May Gaming, MAYGAYMING. Actually, I'm on that account now. They have the same picture. And I also share a podcast with Jenny Hoyt, and that's called Nuanced Nonsense. So that's who I am. I'm just me. And silence.
Doc, you want to say anything about yourself?
I don't know. I'm just some schmuck, some Iowa hick. I'm a patron to a few YouTubers. That's about it.
Okay. Cool. Okay, let's pop that out. Over there. Let me just rearrange my screen so that's useful. $30C, huh? It is 26 here. Well, 24 feels like 26, which is better than 44. 31 feels like 44, like it was on the weekend. Because there's so much water and swamps and lakes and rivers and all that around here, it just gets extremely humid. So, but it didn't even rain. It just, I don't know, it just blew over us and went somewhere else and rained, I guess.
Anyway.
Yep.
So today this has turned into a fundraiser to help Doc Fearsome here.
Excuse me, sorry.
His car died on him, so he's
found
another car, but we need to help him raise some money so he can get it. So he's got a way to get to work every day. So what, Doc, you put a couple $100 down for somebody to hold this car for you for a couple of weeks?
Yep. So they won't sell it. And it seems like a hell of a deal. It's a hell of a nice car. It's in great shape. Kind of a steal, really. So like, kind of something I want to jump on. It will go quickly if I don't get it.
Yep.
Okay. Well,
it's a 2002 Mercury Sable, 114,000 miles, which is tremendous for what, a 17-year-old car.
Yeah, it's the same year as the one I'm driving.
And it seems
But
like it's
despite
in
its
great
age,
shape.
mine's, it looks a little battered, but it's holding together real well. It's got it where it counts. It managed the trip to pick up Diane and go down to Kentucky and back for the protest.
Yeah, that was a hell of a drive, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's about 2,500 miles for the round trip.
That's wow. That's pretty far. That's like
Yeah.
from.
Well, and the
Well,
majority of that, it was, cruising at 75 miles an hour. So,
true.
that. Well, for a car that was made when the speed limit was 55.
Hmm.
Let's see.
I'm getting an echo. Anybody else hear that? From the delay, of course, but
Okay, so that's like from here to Thunder Bay and back.
Yeah, I wasn't noticing an echo.
I'm noticing an echo. I don't think it's coming from me. I can hear my echo, but I have headphones on and everything.
Yeah,
So I
I've got
think
the YouTube muted.
okay.
maybe that's what I need to do. But I don't have like a volume control on mine. I just have my headset plugged right into my smartphone, so
Oh,
I
okay.
don't know. Maybe I'm just gonna have a thing to deal with.
Well, it's not that. It's not. It's not. It's barely even noticeable. So, and it seems like it's gone.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like I said, I wasn't hearing it myself.
I think I just took care of it.
Okay.
I just turned down the volume on my smartphone. I don't know if I can be heard out there though through the.
I can hear you just fine.
Okay.
Well, people in the side chat.
Really?
Can we get a sound check from the side chat?
Hello?
Hello.
I didn't think they were hearing it, so. Yep, it was my phone. Yay!
Yeah, it was really low. I probably wouldn't have heard it if I didn't have like $300 gaming headphones on. I only paid like $130 for them. They were on sale, but that's how much they're apparently worth. I learned that like years after I bought them. So
I'm just using the headset I got with my Xbox.
okay.
I'm bare bones here. I don't have a computer.
Yeah, I didn't realize you're just on your phone there.
You sound good though.
You sound great.
Yep.
Oh, hi, Faye. There you are.
Hi. I thought
Hi, Faye.
I thought I misread. I misread your thing. I thought you said. I thought you sent it last night instead of this today. I was like, what the? Oh my goodness, Doc. How's everything? How's the fundraiser going?
Well, we're just kicking it off, and
Yep, we've only been here a couple minutes.
Oh.
it's been a cool morning here in Iowa, like 60 something.
Okay, what's that in real temperature?
Oh, Fahrenheit. I don't.
I would hope it's not Fahrenheit, not Celsius. Yeah,
I have to convert. I have to convert, unfortunately. I was raised and educated in Iowa, so.
No, that's I think that's probably like high teens, low 20s. So
Yeah, it's comfortable bordering on chilly.
so it's like 10 then.
Yeah, Celsius is one part of it I can't do either. I mean, I know the equation if I write it down, but I
My
can't do it
head's
in
in
my head.
my head's in California. Don't expect me to do math.
Yeah, how's your friend doing?
Last I heard, he's still on life support.
Oh no.
Yeah, well, he went in because he has a problem with his pancreas, and I knew he was going in for a test. They did something to him. He crashed, and now he's on life support.
That's
Oh,
horrible.
damn.
I hope he pulls through.
He's 35. He's a 2-year-old. Got married 3 years ago. Hard worker. Not a dishonest bone in his body. Like when his mother died, he was on unemployment, and he went on for a little bit too long because of his job and blah blah blah. And they were like, "Why were you unemployed so long?" And he goes, "Well, my mother died, and I was grieving, and they said it'll cost you $2,000. You have to pay back." And he goes, "Okay." He doesn't even lie to the government. He's an honest person, and he's dying.
That's horrible.
That
It is.
sucks.
I've known him
I had
for years.
yeah, I had a cousin who was in a similar situation. Got married, had a kid, and not long after, he passed away from cancer. So
Oh.
I wasn't, I hadn't really talked with him or anything for quite some time, but
Mm-hmm.
like still, other members of my family had, and my grandma was just torn up over it. It was
Oh, of course.
really, really just not good at all.
Like important things like this, like it raises the thing is like quality of life matters. It's like you never know how long you're gonna get, which is why I do not want Doc walking in an Iowa winter. You know what I mean? Like
Oh yeah.
he can't walk in an Iowa winter. There was
Not that long, anyways.
I think there were 2 people in the United States that I know of who died on college campuses from hypothermia last winter. One was
Wow,
in
that's
Iowa, one was in Vermont.
how does I don't even know.
I've seen what do you call it? Teenagers walk around in shorts and -19.
Yeah, I used to do that when I was a teenager.
Yeah, don't ever let teenagers do that.
I was fine. Of course,
No,
I was fine. No,
no.
is that Fahrenheit or Celsius? That's
That's
Fahrenheit, right?
Fahrenheit.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's nothing. That's nothing. I meant -19 Celsius.
Oh,
So,
negative 40 is where Celsius and Fahrenheit meet.
yeah. But you said I said -14, or sorry, -19. I used to walk around in shorts and a coat and boots, but I would wear shorts just to annoy people.
They're not
But it's
wearing coats and boots, honey.
in -19. That's like
Yeah.
what, -4 or 5? Let me pull it. Let me convert that for a second.
Okay. Because I can't, because my mind's in California. I've got another friend in Vermont who's dying. Heart, older man, 8
No,
kids,
what's that?
water in his lungs, water in his heart, on dialysis. didn't have a kidney problem before. This
Okay,
heat,
okay. Okay, negative 19 Fahrenheit is actually pretty cold.
okay.
So I would not go at negative 19 Fahrenheit
This
because
girl.
because that's negative 28 Celsius.
Yeah, it would hurt, right?
Yowzers.
You blink a little, and the thing is, Doc's
But-
temperatures
but-
are usually like in that area, anywhere between what are your temperatures, Doc? I know Iowa gets brutally cold.
Oh yeah, last winter when we had that cold snap, yeah, it got down to around negative 40 Fahrenheit
Okay.
with wind chill driving it, past that,
Yeah, you can't walk
almost
in
negative
that.
50.
You can't walk over an hour in that.
That's
And
like Edmonton. That's like Edmonton.
I don't know Edmonton. Tell me all about it, darling.
It's in the northern half of Alberta, although it is.
Oh, okay. I know where Alberta is.
Yeah, it's. They get negative 50 Celsius weather.
Really? Can I
So-
move there?
They
I
also
love
have-
the cold.
They also have the largest mall in North America that has an amusement.
Oh, never mind. No, I don't want anything to do with that now.
Yeah,
No freaking malls.
They have
used to-
it's got over 1 million people. Okay.
That's even worse.
So, I mean, you could probably move to somewhere. You could probably move to some small town like.
As long as it's cold, darling. As long as it's cold.
Oh, I don't know. Move to like Yellowknife or Whitehorse or something. Then it'll be cold.
I was thinking about British Columbia one day.
Oh no, BC is rather actually kind of warm.
Oh, never mind. Screw it.
I lived in Minnesota for the majority of my adult life, so was dealing with the same kind of winters as Iowa.
We can go down to negative 40. It's kind of rare in my area. I'd have to move up the mountain.
Yeah.
The mountain.
Well, that's part of the thing is you have mountains there. Iowa's just a flat plain, so besides
Mostly,
the actual
yeah.
temperature, you get incredibly brutal wind chills.
We're hilly. We're hilly too.
If you want something like that, move to Regina or Saskatoon.
I actually grew up on the shore, but that's beside the point.
Or
it's way too cold for Doc to walk in the winter.
Or like Mishka or something.
Negative 19.
Well, I really want
28.
to freak Faye out and tell you I've done it. I'm trying to remember.
Honey, I've done it. That's why I have like nerve damage on my hands. I didn't have gloves on.
Yeah, I did it. I did it for a while. Back in the day, I worked at Perkins restaurant, and I had an hour walk, and for a good year, I had to do that walk at. I had to be there at 5:30 in the morning, so I had to be walking by 4:30.
That's not right.
And it was every condition, whether it was summer or winter. And it was over a year I did it, so I experienced every season.
Yeah, I didn't have.
If I could walk that far, if I could walk that far, I could do it. Dealing with the cold is not a problem, because I know how to deal with the cold. I know how to stay warm in the winter. I mean, like in like negative 20 Celsius, I'm out in like leggings and a t-shirt and a winter coat and a toque. So, like
but it, like, here's the thing. I didn't have a car for over 10 years. I walked everywhere. That's dangerous. It really is, especially in the winter. I mean, you slip, you fall, you hit your head.
Yep.
You're dead.
I don't know. That's just winter life for me.
Okay, we got some males joining us on the panel here. So,
but still, that's a lot to do to walk that and then work and then walk that again.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's not something
what
that
do you
want to do.
And
what
poor
do you want
Doc
us to
has
call
helped
you by
so
here?
many of us. I don't know if their headset is working.
What?
Hello?
Hi.
Hello.
Yeah, I think I was having trouble with my microphone.
Hi.
Okay. Well, what do you want us to address you by here?
Could you repeat that?
What's your name?
Oh, well, emotionally mimetic psychopath. Most people just call me EMP.
Okay.
So if you want to move to somewhere where it's cold and on the coast, you could always move to Dildo, Newfoundland.
I heard Newfoundland's nice. But if I do that, Nadine will think I'm stalking her.
Oh, okay. She's out in Newfoundland?
Yeah, she's a newfie. Not in Dildo, though. She's taking pictures there, though, so that we can find. Very, very funny woman.
Yeah. I just grabbed the first funny name I could find. If I had moved to...
I've seen Gonna Go For It at the rectum sign, but I don't remember which country that is.
I don't think that's... I don't want to say I don't think that's us because it could totally be us.
No, he's Dutch. But he had to drive to it. I don't know if it's in Germany or, because he basically lives on the border of two countries. So I'm not sure which country he went to rectum in, but it's funny.
I mean, what's it called? I'm like really tired. Labrador is always an option. Labrador is always a good option. You could live in the part of Newfoundland and Labrador named after a dog. Actually, I think the dog's named after the... I don't even know, okay?
Probably after the place, but I don't know.
Yeah, there's a lot of dog breeds that are
first.
named after where the breed originated.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, I don't know.
Hey, Bub.
Something
we got Beelzebub in the side chat.
All right, I clicked on something.
You're fine. We still hear you.
Oh no! Just something completely different.
And now for something completely different.
Yeah, I just hid the chat. So
yeah, sorry about that. I was getting an update, which is no update at all other than like I'm so worried.
So no new info.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I hope everything goes well. I'll be in that part. I'll be in California at some point in the future. Don't know when.
Oh, really? Where?
Yeah.
That's where I originate.
San Francisco.
Oh, that's lovely. You're gonna enjoy it. The hills are fucking murder. Oops, sorry. Didn't mean to curse. No, I still have nightmares about one particular hill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'll be going there for surgery at some point, but.
Oh, good.
Yeah, that's all. So I won't really be doing a whole lot.
The weather is hot. I hope you don't go during the Santa Anas. Other than that, the temperatures are great. Like in the winter, usually 70s Fahrenheit, which is like very comfortable. Right, and I hope you do some recovery there so that you can bask.
I'll sit in an air-conditioned hospital for a couple of days and then probably fly home.
Okay. Well, that's a shame. No, it would be nice if you could enjoy San Francisco.
Yeah.
But with what money?
True.
Yeah, it sounds like you're going to see San Francisco in the same way that I saw Chicago about a year or two ago.
Yeah.
Going to go there, just do something, and then go back.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. It's a not very non-invasive surgery, though. So compared to the other options, so at the very least, that will be.
Did you get in trouble again?
That's a fire truck, actually. I live around the corner from the main fire hall in my city.
Yeah, but police cars are commonly found next to fire trucks where I'm from. So.
Yeah, no, not here. But yeah, the what I'm doing is very minimally invasive, so my recovery time will be very minimal.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So that is going to be great. But I'm not even going to be able to talk to the surgeon for like another 5 months about that, I think. So yeah. But whatever. It is what it is.
Well, I hate to say it, I have a bias. When someone says that they're going to a hospital, whether it's in another place, blah 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 blah, usually major city type thing, I get very hopeful. Like, it means there's a specialist, there's people who are going to be paying attention. It's usually a good hospital with a good reputation. Less worry, less anxiety about that. Like when my nephew, I think he was 6 months old, but they switched him from a local hospital to a specialist hospital, and everything after that point went really great. Well, as great as it can when you have to like rewire a small child's entire system. But they did a really good job. Like, if you looked at him, you wouldn't know he's all screwed up.
Okay.
Yeah, my younger brother had to go to, I think the largest hospital in my area would be St. Elizabeth's, and they had great staff. Apparently, he's like allergic to wheat and rice and like a dozen other things that are commonly found in plants. So his options for food are
very minimal,
scarce compared to other kids, but he gets the amount of protein and like vegetables and fruit that he needs.
Okay.
So.
It's actually like right on the harbor.
Yeah, I have. I also have kind of a high standard when it comes to some of those larger hospitals. After what I've seen at St. Elizabeth's.
What is it? I don't think it's even in a hospital. I think it's a private office.
That's awesome.
Let's see. No, Endpoint Clinical. Is that a hospital?
I don't know. I'm not in the area, but
like there's
usually when you have to travel to something and there's a specialist, you're in better hands.
Yeah, this isn't something like this is totally elective. It's just my GRS and it's totally elective and all of that. So yeah.
Even if I had my earlobes, even if I was going to go and have elective surgery like on my earlobes, I'd want the best person touching me. You know what I mean?
Actually, Dr. Wittenberg, pretty much, from what I can tell, is one of the best.
Yeah.
So, and she's the only one who's publicly willing to do what I want. I'm not getting the normal thing done, so there is I have to go here. Otherwise, I would just go to the specialist in Montreal, which would be a lot easier. To say the least, but they won't do what I want. They'll only do what they want to do. So, yeah, I have to find myself paying $600, plus bringing another person down to San Francisco with me. So
that's pretty good. Is
I'm
anyone
gonna
going with you?
probably my mom. She wants to go to California anyways, but I don't. I don't know. I'm going to have to bring someone with me, even though, like I said, what I'm doing is extremely minimally invasive. I'm still going to need some help, even just getting back home. And it is recommended that you bring someone with you. So it'll probably be my mom. It might be, one of a couple of select friends of mine who I might bring. But to be honest, it's probably going to be my mom. So
That's pretty good.
yeah.
Yeah, something similar happened in my family where my dad had to do surgery on his knee and lower back, and I had to, babysit some younger siblings while my mom was helping my dad recover from from the surgery. And he's up and going about now, but yeah, I know what it's like when you want to bring someone with you to help you recover and all that.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, that's exactly it. And depending on, I'm going to be trying to do my own little fundraiser for this because I'm like stupidly poor. But that's not for a while because I don't even know when it's going to be. And there might be a couple of other things I have done while I'm there, like fixing my hairline and get rid of this fucking cyst on my face that you can't see, but it's there and it hurts and it's annoying.
Oh,
So
really? I didn't notice at all.
no, you can't see it. It just looks like an extension of my brow, but it's there. And if I'm like wearing a hat or something that's goes down too far, it hurts.
Oh. See, a lot of people think that I'm completely paranoid about doctors and stuff because I am. And I am because there's reasons. It's like, how your experience models like your prejudices and biases and all this other stuff. I don't trust doctors. So when I do go to one, it's a very serious thing for me. My uncle, oh, by the way, I'm anti chiropractor.
Oh yes,
Just so
definitely.
you know, my
I mean,
uncle
there's
went to
I
one.
pretty much am too.
Well, hold on.
She broke his back because she didn't do x-rays and blah blah blah. She didn't treat him seriously. She broke his back because she didn't know he had spine cancer. He was dead 3 weeks later.
ooh.
Ooh, that's harsh.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
his back hurt, and she hadn't touched him in like 20 years, and I think chiropractic is like woo anyway. I
well,
had no
So
idea he was going to
so
hold
do.
on. I have something
there's
to add.
there are two different types of chiropractic. One type of
Mhm.
chiropractic is basically a form of physiotherapy, and then the nut job woo ones are the ones telling you that or maybe massage therapy or something like that. Some of it has use, but then there are the wooey ones that will tell you that chiropractic, however you pronounce it, will like cure cancer and shit like that, and that's
Right.
where the wooey
Right,
shit
and
comes in.
about that,
I'm a medical massage therapist, by the way.
Okay.
yeah, the thing is, my mom has been going to a chiropractor of the former variety, not the woo chiropractor, but like the guy who works on physical therapy, because uh, apparently the doctor that she's been seeing has said that she could possibly get some like benefits relating to the spine, and she has been going to this chiropractor who I haven't seen him pump out any woo, so there's that. But that's my experience with chiropractors, because I've heard about the woo that some chiropractors spread, but the one my mom goes to isn't of that type.
Yeah, they need to change the useful chiropractor, however you pronounce it. They need to change that to like some sort of actual term that's not chiropractor.
Yeah,
well,
a woman I was in a relationship.
Therapist.
Yeah, a woman I was in a relationship about 10 years ago was going to a chiropractor, but she was going to a guy at one of the university hospitals. So he actually was helping her with some pain relief from her screwed up back. She had a couple of slip discs.
Ooh, the worst woo is the woo that you really want to talk about is that usually goes along with chiropractic is and my dad actually thinks that this shit has some form of use, and I looked it up. I looked at the stuff. It doesn't pass. It does pass a placebo effect, but it doesn't have anything past a pain-killing effect. But acupuncture is complete bullshit. So the only thing that acupuncture does is and this could actually get addictive. It stimulates the release of endorphins. So that's all it does. You have endorphins being released into the brain, and that's addictive.
I wouldn't mind some endorphins.
Yeah, but there's better way and cheaper ways to get that than
well, there's also acupressure, which does the same thing.
Yeah, but the point is it doesn't cure anything.
No, as long as it doesn't claim that it cures anything, I think it's fine. Like acupressure does make you feel good.
Yeah, but you look at every acupuncture person.
Yeah, but I'm saying acupressure. It's the same thing, but without the puncture.
Yeah. Another one, and we actually have two people who practice this in my city, and I'm at least two, and I'm pissed that they even exist here. We have two homeopathy people.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, yeah, that's one of those woos that my mom actually believes in.
Ew.
Yeah, that is not good.
Homeopathy. But I think she's told me a story. Now, she's no medical expert, so I'm putting that forward now. But the story she tells me is that when I was a kid, and I was like, I was acting unnatural or unusual for a kid that age. So she goes to a homeopathic doctor, and she is asking them what to do, and apparently they gave me some homeopathic treatment. Some green stuff came out of my body, and apparently I started acting more normal after that. That's
what
felt it.
What the hell?
I know it's the weird story, and she's not in the medical field, so she believes that I was like treated for my like antisocial behavior through a homeopathy, and she believes I'm like one of the golden children when it comes to like homeopathic like successful cases apparently, and it's a sensitive subject for her.
Like what if
she doesn't like it when I don't think that homeopathy is a good thing. She thinks that is like betraying what the doctors did to help me in the past.
What did they give you? Like E or alcohol or something?
No way that my mom would have given me alcohol as a kid.
No. I mean, you know, it's like hugely. It's like
I don't know. My mom doesn't know any of the details. The doctors, if they told her what they gave me, she didn't remember. This would have been when I was like a kid, like.
Okay, yeah.
And when I actually went to like a mental doctor, he diagnosed me with Asperger's, which.
Okay.
Wait, well, As I got older, I realized that there's some overlap between like psychopathic behavior and Asperger's symptoms. There's a little bit of overlap there, so I can see why the doctors came to that conclusion at the time.
So like I used to be, up until I was about 15 or 16, I used to be like pure evil. I'll admit this. And if you cut me, I would have bled black. But then I kind of, I guess, grew out of it. So yeah, I don't even know where to go there.
I've got limits with homeopathy. Like,
it's total
because when I was growing up, they actually scientifically proved that chicken soup will help you, and why. But like the homeopathy that I think is fine are just little things like mixing honey with a little bit of lemon when your throat is sore.
But that's not homeopathy.
Yeah,
homeopathy.
Something that the woo people have done is they've taken things which are not homeopathy, but they've hit them with like a homeopathic label, and that's why you see like treatments that have like 1 in 1,000 parts.
That's what I'm trying to tell you, though. It's like if someone like the acupressure, as long as they're not making claims that it cures cancer and diabetes and help you grow 2 feet taller and give you wings, make you be able to bench press with your farts, I don't care if it's that, but if it's just something that's like, hey, this is good for a sore throat, but it's not going to do you any other good, I'm for it.
So I do want to bring up the case of, I forget what these disgusting people's names are, and it's good because their names should be forgotten to history. But there was a couple in Alberta who tried to face heal their child from, I think it was pneumonia, with water, maple syrup, and honey.
Yeah, the kid died.
And the kid died.
Yeah.
And then the government made an example of them not to do that. So
that's
I would
I'm
speak
against.
out strongly against any of that.
Well, at least in Canada, the government did something about it.
Yeah,
in the US, if they claimed it was a religious practice, they wouldn't do anything.
Yeah, I think I remember the story you're talking about. Wasn't it like bacterial pneumonia or something like that?
I think it was pneumonia. I think it was, and antibiotics would have taken care of that. Yeah, it was a few years ago. Just when someone says stuff like that, it's like, no, that doesn't do anything. At best, you're getting a placebo. So,
yeah, but the thing is, if you're going to do anything, even the honey mixed with lemon, talk to your doctor first. That's what I don't like, is do-it-yourself healthcare.
My doctor would say, don't do that. Here are some pills. I would do stuff.
But like, I've had doctors tell me to try this, that, and the other thing, from the vitamin counter, and I listen to them and it works, but I'm not about to go and pick those things out for myself. I mean,
there's a placebo effect in some things, and some things, you can get over some things by yourself without having to go on medications. Like the last time I had strep throat, which was 2 years ago now, actually. I didn't take any antibiotics or anything. I was just, in the shit for like a month while I was getting that shit out of my system. But all I really did was have popsicles and ginger ale for 3 days.
That's dangerous.
And then had a lot of chicken soup. So
that's very dangerous. Strep throat can turn into scarlet fever.
Yeah, well,
You're lucky to be alive.
It got better. If it got worse, I would have went to the hospital. But you can't every time you get strep throat, you can't just throw antibiotics in your system, because then you get antibiotic resistant strep, the antibiotic resistant version of the bacteria. And then if it turns into scarlet fever with the antibiotic resistant one, you are so fucking toast you don't even know. So we have to be really careful with antibiotic use as well.
Oh, I know. I grew up with chronic strep throat. It continued until they adjusted my adenoids and took out my tonsils, and then I never had it again.
I can't.
Literally
Hi, Diana.
never had it again. But I was out of school so much that every time I went back to school, they thought I was a transfer student. I'd introduce myself over again to the kids in my class.
Well, they took out my tonsils and my adenoids when I was a teenager, but I still get strep throat almost every fall.
Ew.
I don't.
I mean, I
only
have
they don't.
Missing, so
yeah, for the most part, they don't give me the antibiotics for it, but they give me the cough syrup with codeine, which is one of the few things that will actually help me sleep.
Yep. I grew up on that stuff. I really did. But the thing is, it's little things well, my mom is as paranoid as I am about medical practices. So anything I took, they made it pass with the doctor first, because you don't want any drug and whatever else you're doing interactions.
Yeah,
You'd be surprised what will have an interaction if you're just oh, I'm just gonna. And the people who drink vinegar, I want to punch them.
I mean, I'm perfectly fine with, and I'm so happy I don't have to do any of this to transition. I am fine with medical doctors. I have no problems with doctors, but like psychiatrists or whatever the other ones, they're the practicing ones. Like that shit. I have had bad experiences with them and don't trust them as far as I can throw them.
Right. Well,
and I have lost most of my strength from hormones, so I can't throw them.
Yeah, my mom doesn't trust psychiatrists either. She didn't want them giving me any medicine since she's had the same personal doctor for the last over 30 years.
Yeah, you do know that you can fire your shrink, right? And get a different one?
Yeah, she does. That's why whenever she thought that I needed mental help, she would go to a psychologist and not a psychiatrist, because she didn't want them giving me anything like illicit medical drugs.
I mean, I don't like either of them, so.
Well, the psychologists were okay, at least the ones I've interacted with. I don't think any of them pegged me for a psychopath, but they were nice, they were amiable, they gave good reviews of me to my parents, and that was exactly what I wanted them to do. So
that's cool.
My
sister's a psychopath.
Well,
diagnosed, not self-diagnosed. She is a psychopath.
Well, the thing about psychopaths is a lot of people confuse them for sociopaths, and they're not quite the same.
No, they're not.
No.
You want someone who's a little bit detached if they're going to be your doctor. Too much empathy would be bad for them. Psychopaths are great.
Well,
or can be great.
Mild psychopathy or mild psychopath behavior is actually very useful. Especially
from a healthy, socially integrated psychopath, yes.
Or even in a capitalist system, because mild psychopathic behavior will help you find the loopholes and the things you could be improving on.
Yeah, I might be mildly something or other like that, but whatever, it doesn't matter. I'm not. The worst thing I have is
one.
Hey, Diana.
Hi, Diana. The thing that the condition I don't want to deal with is the narcissist.
Yeah, they're usually sociopaths, those narcissists.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, please forgive the little one. She is a little amorous yet.
I have a younger sister. I understand.
That's excellent.
Oh, and I used to work in a daycare last summer, so little kids running around. They're
all narcissists.
Well, Well, some of them are. There are actually, some kids who just due to their temperament are more caring than other kids their age.
Mm-hmm.
I was not one of those kids.
Yeah, in my experience, most little ones are just little narcissists.
I was fine until I was 10, and then I was evil until I was 16. And then I went back to being fine.
One of the outcomes of being labeled Asperger at a young age was that I got to interact with kids who had, I guess you could say, more severe symptoms related to their autism, and also some of the kids who were like paralyzed from the waist down, who were in wheelchairs all over school. And that really has helped me to empathize with some of the people in these positions, and then through my empathy of autistic people, that was able to help me sort of create a bridge from autism awareness to the LGBT plus community. So I guess my interactions with these people, because most of the people in the school wouldn't have regular interactions with the kids that I would, so I was able to see them in a light that was a little bit different from most of the other kids in school.
Yeah, I guess you could say I was in a similar position, although I hated being in that position so much.
I would have hated it more if the kids who were in those positions were generally, nicer than the kids who were not. If there was like a bully in school, it wasn't from they weren't on the spectrum, or they weren't like in a wheelchair. The kids who were like, I guess the stereotypical thing would be like a jock. They would be the assholes. So
yeah. I mean, no, I mean, I would be the target of the assholes because, I'm actually, I was in the behaviorally challenged class until I was in grade 5, and I hated it, and I would get, beat up, and I didn't learn any. Well, I wouldn't I'd get harassed and teased. No one ever had the guts to actually. Very few people had the guts to actually fight me, and the ones that did quickly learned it was a mistake. But like I hated it, and it probably hurt my. It probably actually hurt my ability to socialize properly. Another thing is that they misdiagnosed me with ADHD when I have Asperger syndrome.
But I was not correctly diagnosed with the autism until I was in my 40s.
Yeah, but
then looking back at it, they can see that I was displaying the classic early symptoms, like as soon as I had started school.
Yeah, but it gets better or worse depending on how you're going to see it. You see, the problem with that is they put me on Ritalin, and I don't have ADHD. Yep. So the Ritalin made me more hyper. And then, of course, they're like, this shit isn't working. Let's up the dose until I was on a literal overdose of this stuff, and it was just making me more and more hyper. So I eventually refused to stop taking the stuff, much to the protests of my school, my parents, and everyone else involved. And then like a month after I stopped taking it, they're like, "Oh, May's fine now." Did she start the Ritalin again? No, that doesn't make any sense. Now I realize that no, I'm autistic, not ADHD.
I was
they kept trying to get me as some kind of manic depressive or bipolar, and kept trying to give me all sorts of drugs for that, and wondered why nothing ever worked.
Oh, I'm definitely bipolar, but that's an entirely different thing. Actually, that's been since I started estrogen. That has been really, 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 really good for deal. A lot of my a lot of my, I guess, conditions like Asperger, like bipolar, that has actually been lessened since I've started estrogen. I went from a complete introvert to a bit of an extrovert even, and not just online. So it is really, that's really weird and interesting.
Well, yeah, going back to your ADHD story, I was kind of the opposite example. I was the kid who was on ADHD, but because my mom was not a fan of psychiatrists and putting drugs in me that she didn't like, she never gave me Ritalin. So I had to, like, I would like fidget around in class, and I would have these, social issues related to that because, I was never actually medically treated for ADHD, even though the doctors at the time said I matched all of the symptoms.
Yeah.
The only issues my nephews are having is the fact that they've skipped several grades. Like the oldest one is going to be graduating high school at 15.
Oh.
So he has lots of social issues. Lots of them, and he refuses to do group projects.
I was held back at the end of grade 5, but I skipped grade 9.
Yeah, actually, I actually had a plan, for like getting on the good side of some of the seniors in high school, because I'd heard when I was in like 8th grade middle school that there were these things called freshman Fridays or whatever, where they would like the freshmen would be treated poorly, or there would be like bullies who go around and treat people poorly. So what I did in 9th grade was I just took weight training. I started first semester basic weight training, and then second semester went to advanced weight training. And I was the only 9th grader in the entire year that did that. So I was able during the second semester to interact with a lot of, because most of the people in advanced weight training are upperclassmen, like 11th and 12th grade, like sports people. And they were really popular in my school. So I was able to get on their good side, and I never had like trouble in high school with anybody.
I had a lot of trouble in public school, up until one of the fights where someone quickly realized they'd made a mistake, and I never started any fights, but there was one where someone started a fight with me, and I'm a pretty big person, and was quite a bit bigger than them, and I did not hold back. Nothing ever came of it except for people stopped teasing me and stuff. That was in grade 7, I think. And then when I went to high school, no one ever, even strangers, no one ever bothered me. Like a couple of people did, but like it wasn't the same. The teachers always told them to fuck off. So like it's a whole different thing, like from when I went into high school, and there wasn't really a lot of that in the 2 high schools I went to. So yeah, there was fights. I went to 2 very rough high schools, Kenner Collegiate in Peterborough, which is it's basically the one where all the factory workers' kids go to from what was a major GE plant. So it was a pretty rough school, but there was none of that stuff that was going on when I went there. And the other one I went to is Fenland Falls Secondary School, and that's way out in the middle of the country. Fenland Falls has like 1,800 permanent residents, and that doubles during school hours because like the capacity of the high school alone is 1,200 people, and the capacity of the public school is like 800 people. No, I think it's closer to 6 because so we had a lot of people come in from out of town, and even that was pretty. It's a farmer school. It's going to be pretty rough. There's a lot of jocks and everything. But even then, I spent most of my time in school actually playing Magic the Gathering in the cafeteria when I wasn't in class. So, like no one ever bothered us when I was doing that. So of course they had the biggest drug bust in a school in Ontario history still, not long after I stopped going there. But yeah, so we don't have a lot of that shit, at least not here in whatever my parts of Ontario are.
Yeah, the school I went to was a bit weird. Like there was a split. The honor, like there, it was in the suburbs, and there was like a split between like the experience that honor students had and the experience that regular students had. Because what happened was, because this was a relatively new school, a lot of the other trouble kids that would get kicked out of the other schools in the area for their behavior would get sent to like regular classes at the school I went to, and like it was a bit of a, and there was a lot of fighting amongst like in the normal classes. But I took a lot of honors in that school. By the time I was in 9th grade, I was considered an honor student, so I didn't really have that experience. And basically, I learned that by the time I was in high school, I was pretty much invisible. Like there was like in the cafeteria, a fight broke out between two female students, just like 5 feet away from me, and they just started wailing at each other, and I just sat there, like eating, and security came and the fight broke up, and like I wasn't disturbed whatsoever. This is that kind of school where, like, if you were in a normal class, you got like a way different experience.
The only person who ever bothered me in high school was someone I knew from public school. So yeah, that wasn't really that was really the only person who bothered me in high school. So it was a carryover, because I went to like every friggin' public school in my city, just because they kept moving the class I was in around. But I only went to one high school here. So that kid, I was in a school called Grove for 2 years. And that kid basically was one of my harassers there. And then when I finally went to Kenner, a few years after I went to Grove, then, which doesn't even exist anymore, then that kid was in a lot of my classes. So that, like, he would annoy me, but like I'm like 3 times the size of that kid, so yeah, he never tried to get physical with me. And then at that point in my life, I was just like, yeah, fuck off. I wish I was transitioning. Could have told him it's like my non-binary girl dick.
Well, Purple, I see that you put up another link to the GoFundMe, and while you're doing that, I just took a look over, and it seems that we're at $110 at the moment of the $3,500 goal. So we're getting a little something going, but we've got a lot to go. Hey, kid.
Yeah, we've made a start at it.
Yeah, and that's not exactly the most accurate, because I'm a sort of person who prefers PayPal. So when I donated to Doc, that's what I did. I used PayPal.
Okay.
Yeah, and the PayPal link is also in the description below.
Great.
And I did throw it out in the chat when we started.
So you threw Doc the $1,500, right?
That's a little outside of my budget. I gave him a little something, and depending on how the GoFundMe goes, I'll probably donate more, like in a day or two. But like I said, I'm like part of the working class, so my ability to donate to other causes is a little more limited than someone, say, in the middle class.
Indeed, because the groceries are indeed important.
Yeah, I'm almost completely broke, so, and I just had to buy a new phone because my old one was like toast.
Oh no.
Yeah. Oh well, I'm going to be paying an extra $30 on my phone bill a month, and my new plan costs $5 more, but it's infinitely better. The thing is that since you can't finance taxes, I'm going to have to pay the environmental protection tax and the sales tax and everything on that. So my September phone bill is going to be quite large. Fortunately, I think I'm going to be getting some extra hours at work, and my birthday's coming up at the end of August, so I will have some extra money hanging around, which is good. Hopefully, I can get the rest of my laser paid off, and then that'll give me enough money to basically be able to deal with the phone over the next 2 months.
Well, I'm hoping that we can raise Doc Fearsome's car thing before winter comes.
Hopefully.
Well, I
I
guess
can't.
Isn't it like a week or two that the guy said he would put a delay on?
Yeah,
that's where I was just headed.
yeah, he's only going to hold the car that he put the money down on for 2 weeks.
Right.
So
And
we,
I know
I'll probably
you did
give
the
him more
PayPal
money
link.
in that time, but I'm one guy, so.
Yeah. I know you did the PayPal link, but you really should put the GoFundMe link in the side chat too, not to be critical.
yeah, I had put the GoFundMe link up just a couple of minutes before that.
Okay.
I see both.
Yep, they're both in there.
Oh, there it is. It's up top.
Yeah, I really hope that you can get this fixed pretty quickly.
Well, Doc's helped all of us,
Absolutely.
in one way or another. Whether it's talking to someone or Patreon or something. And I really think that of all the people that we've helped before, Doc is deserving of a lot of support. I mean, he's been there for everybody and is one of those people who doesn't walk around adding problems to existing problems. You know what I mean?
Indeed. Yeah.
Doc,
Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't cause any drama for people.
No, and I think that needs to be rewarded, and we should take care of our own.
Yeah,
It's
he just needs the car so he can keep his job. Because, like Faye was saying, he walked to work the other day. It took him 2.5 hours.
It was actually an hour and 20 minutes.
But still, that's too much.
Yeah.
I have to walk half an hour to work, and I can't even do that.
Yeah, I remember like walking to work in like 40 degrees Celsius weather because, it was only for like 45 minutes, but it was awful.
And if it's over an hour to walk to work, you're going to be exhausted when you get to work.
Right.
And then you have to work your shift and walk home.
I mean, working my shift and walking home isn't that big a deal.
It is
because I can just put
depends on the temperature really, and the humidity.
I mean, I can just put my brain on autopilot and walk home.
Yeah, but if you do that, he works 40 hours a week, etc., and Doc's around my age.
Oh.
And
yeah, that'd be like that sounds like it would be like my dad on his bad knee and his bad back walking an hour to work. That's no bueno.
Yeah, that's not acceptable. And to not be able to, I mean, save enough in order to get a car because this job isn't as lucrative as his last one. We did have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people have donated. So we're at 110.
Nice.
Not counting the PayPal, of course, at least.
Right. And
that's good.
Doc, how are we doing on the PayPal?
Let's see.
Have you checked it?
Pardon me. I'm on the
because every little bit helps everyone.
I'm on the GoFundMe right now.
Mm-hmm. We have 5 donations, and we let's put it this way: if we had 0 donations at that goal, all we would need are 100 people at $35 each, and we've got it. So it's actually not that much. Just give up a trip to the movies or a dinner out or something like that. I mean, if you donate the price of a McDonald's dinner, we can get it done in a week.
Yeah, I actually get paid this weekend, so I'll probably be able to donate more about that time.
Mm-hmm. Which is great, and I'm going to too as soon as I get paid.
Yeah,
You doing little one?
make $1,200. I make less than $1,200 a month, and my bills are about $900, and that's before I pay for food and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, I am
retweeting helps. Retweeting, posting on Facebook, anything that helps the fundraiser get to as many ears and eyes as we can will make the difference in the long term. I mean, like,
even if you can't donate, spreading the GoFundMe link around as much as possible would be a huge help.
Yeah, I retweeted.
Yeah, I can definitely do that.
I retweeted before I fell asleep, and then horribly overslept. But that's another slept right through the damn alarm. But did the retweeting, and I think when I donated at the very first, they have that little thing on there that says, "Would you like to tell people about it on Facebook or something like that?"
Yeah.
Yeah, we did that one.
See, what we need is frustrated atheists willing to shave his chest for a donation.
That'd be perfect. I like that.
Like jump through hoops in order to get the donation. Oh yeah, you gave this. Okay.
How about
go ahead?
How about I won't shave until we hit the goal?
Oh, that'll do it.
All right, I won't shave until we hit the goal.
I would do that, but my place of business would only let me get away with like a Riker beard, and any longer than that is like not allowed. So.
I want to rephrase that. Unless I need to go to laser.
Okay. Well, I'm sure someone might donate to watch you shave instead, like your legs or something.
Oh, I mean my face.
Ah.
Yeah, it's hard to see on the camera, but the facial hair is still noticeable. So.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
Yeah, I sort of. You were saying.
I'm resting my chin in my hand, and I can feel it.
Yeah, I'm at the age where you had the inconvenient, like, little hair showing up that you constantly have to pluck.
Oh no, I mean I still have hair around here. I have hair up here, which I hate. I have no hair here.
Honey, I think I have more body hair than you do.
I'm lasering it off.
Yeah, I'm the sort of guy who like I shave at 9 in the morning, and then I have 5 o'clock shadow at 5 p.m. So.
Oh, yeah. You're lucky. I shaved and I still had the shadow.
Well, if anyone really wants to help in your in-between paychecks and etc., please retweet this, post it on Facebook or any other social media platform that you're on.
Yeah, looking for a tweet.
The more exposure we get, the better off we're going to be. And the fact is, Doc Fearsome is one of the kindest people I've met. Really deserves support from the community.
Yeah, just get the GoFundMe link out in front of as many people as possible.
Donate what you can, not because you feel the peer pressure. I mean, it's not about putting yourself into danger. Nobody wants that. Doc, you don't want that. But we do have a time limit, and we've got like 2 weeks to do it.
Well, I retweeted it. I retweeted Purple's tweet at least, so.
Yeah,
that's a good thing.
We're not doing the give till it hurts thing.
Yeah, we're definitely not doing give till it hurts, but it does make a difference. It will improve somebody's life. It'll minimize the suffering. And sometimes that's all you need is that one kick in the caboose in the right direction, and next thing you know, you can handle things much better than you could handle them before.
All right. Speaking about time limits, I've got to go pay bills, and this is the sort of thing where I have to go to the bank.
Yeah, you're welcome
to do
come
it.
back.
All right, yeah, I'm actually going to be transferring funds like from the bank, so I'll probably be gone for a good hour. I might the call might be over by the time I get back. So y'all have a good day.
Hey,
Okay.
anytime,
Thanks
and
for dropping in.
if you ever want to come on my channel, let me know.
Okay, yeah, you can DM me at @emotemimePsych. That's my Twitter. DMing me is honestly one of the better ways. I also have an email, emotemimepsych@gmail.com.
Yeah.
Either one of those two is probably a good chance of contacting me at some point.
Well, I'm YT Wonder Lady.
I also need a new mic stand.
All right, it may take, like I said, I'm going to the bank, so it might take a little while before I contact you on Twitter.
Okay.
Y'all have a good day. And
thank you, man.
And I hope you get a lot of money soon, Doc.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't thank you guys enough. It's kind of amazing.
Hey, not to worry, sweetness. We love you.
Yeah. Okay.
I love you all as well.
Well, you've always been around here. You've always been lurking around. I know you've been helping people.
Yeah, here's okay. So I've come. Here's the deal. No, I don't even know how I can do this. I don't know. I don't like I. Yeah, I'm not even sure how I can do it. I was gonna say like. For every total number of donations we get, I will go another day without shaving. So we're at what, 6 now? For both the GoFundMe and the PayPal.
Oh, we start it from now. Start it from so if it's 7, it's 1 day. You don't have to retroactively do it.
Sure.
Because
So
they've donated before your condition, so that
yeah,
would be for you.
So for every donation, I will go another day without shaving to a maximum of the 13th of August. And I really don't like going without shaving right now, so
can't blame you.
Yeah. Yeah, Diana knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I
will do that.
I'm the lucky one whose facial hair is white. You're not.
No. Some of mine is light red and blonde. Actually, it's really weird. My hair is really weird, but no, I still have a lot of the dark stuff.
Yeah, this is one of the perks, I guess, of going gray. That the hairs are not all that noticeable. The problem, of course, is that wonderful laser treatment is now unavailable to you.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing that really bothers me is the shadow. But like I said, and the only reason I'm stopping at the 13th of August is because that's when my next laser appointment is. So, and I already missed one because I was sunburnt, so I can't miss the next one. So,
oh my! Now, this is just out of curiousness. Do they want you to have some growth when you go in for the laser treatment?
No, as clean shaven as possible is what they want. That's electrolysis where they want you to have growth.
Okay. I got you now.
Yeah.
I can't afford either one of them, so
the only reason laser is even affordable for me is because I have a friend who has a friend who runs a laser clinic, I guess. And so I first got a friend price, and I second, she is doing her best to undercut everyone else who does laser in the area. So I paid a tenth for what I would pay with the local place, and the only catch, I paid $150, not $1,500. The only catch is that I have to go out of town to do it, so it's like a $50 day trip on a really boring bus ride.
Oh, that far out of town. Okay. Now, when you're talking about paying a tenth of what somebody else would have to, that's making it sound to me like the laser isn't 100, it's like 1,000 at a time or something like that, and that's not right, right?
So I paid $150 up front for getting rid of the whole thing, no matter how many times it takes. Yeah. So if I did the one of the place I know about in Peterborough that does laser hair removal, it would have cost me $1,500 for 10 goes.
Okay, so $150 each, basically.
Yeah, instead of just $150 all at once. And of course, the person who's doing the laser for me, I have referred everybody and their brother there. I've sent like 5 or 6 people to her personally. just well, one, because it's something people can afford now, and 2, because she deserves business, because she's like amazing. So
yeah, when I looked into it, they had said it would be 5 or 6 sessions, and they were estimating $2,000.
Mm-hmm. That's normal. Now I'm also getting this done, like all of this, because no hairy boobs for me.
Oh, right.
I don't want it just to stop at here or something like that. That would look weird. So I'm paying quite a bit more. I'm paying quite a bit more for that, but still a good price. I'm basically paying $600 for as many times as I need to go for that, which is what she also charges for legs. So I will.
I also had the problem that I had the very dark facial hair and the very fair skin.
Mm-hmm.
So even an hour after being freshly shaved, it looked like I had a shadow.
The shadow was there after I shaved.
Yeah.
It still is. It's just I'm going on my 10th run of laser, though. I'm going on my 10th run in August. So
yeah, I've heard stories from a lot of girls who have stated that their costs for depilatation, hair removal, that sort of thing, is greater than their combined costs for everything else.
Yeah,
including the surgery.
Yeah, it can be really expensive. I mean, my government's going to pay for my surgery, but they're not going to pay for me to go to San Francisco to get the one I want. And Dr. Wittenberg is the only person who does that. That's not on a secret menu, to my knowledge. That isn't in like Korea or Thailand or some shit like that. So, that's a bit of a trip. It's going to cost $600 roughly for the plane ticket, and I don't know what I'm going to have to pay for accommodations or anything. I have to bring someone with me. Any type of hospital stay, my government will pay for. So if I forget what they call it, but if I have to get put up in a hospital bed for a couple of days of recovery, that will be covered by my government. But whoever's coming with me will have to find their own place to stay, like a hotel or something.
The government will pay for the hospital even if it's in a different country?
Yes. As long as they approve the surgeon, which Dr. Wittenberg is one of the best. Sorry, there's a poopsie truck outside.
Well, around here, they don't even want to pay for me to spend a night in the local hospital.
Yeah, really. Our cover, like our Ontario health insurance plan, or OHIP, is really good for some things and really terrible for other things. But they understand that sometimes people have to go out of the country for specialists and whatnot. In Canada, our only GRS option until very recently has been Montreal. And some people don't necessarily like Dr. Bressard. I think it's Bressard. My French pronunciation.
I've heard good and ill over Broussard. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I've heard a lot of good. I've heard a lot of bad. I think that he might not have been so great when he started, but he's gotten a lot better. Is probably what it is as he's gotten experience.
I remember going to a site that featured before and after photographs, and depending on which before and after you were looking at, some of Broussard's work, to my eyes, was a little questionable. But that was 15 years ago when I was looking at that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I've got no idea what's going on with that. They won't even, do the trans mask equivalent of what I want. Even though there's no problems with them doing it, like it actually makes less work. It makes the surgery easier for them. But they won't even do it with trans guys. So trans guys who want that have to go out of the country to get what they want too. Now, of course, they can't even do the just being a little bit specific. They can't even do the type of vaginoplasty that would be required for my specific surgery. Because it's not the normal type. They're using the body's internal lining for that instead of anything else that they would normally use. So I don't even have the option of going to them and begging them to do what I want them to do, because they just can't do it. And from what I've heard from some trans guys, they won't do it because cis binary normativity, or whatever you want to call it, I guess. But
what, they don't want to be accused of building freaks or something, is it?
I think that they're more... I have no idea. I haven't asked about that.
Because you're not after the standard operating procedure, shall I say? Is that correct?
Sorry?
You're not looking for the standard operating procedure, if that's the way to put it. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, I'm perfectly comfortable talking about whatever I want, but I don't know if other people are super comfortable hearing about the exact details. But I am definitely not looking for the normal stuff, for the normal surgery.
Yeah.
I'm a non-binary person getting a non-binary surgery.
For what you were looking for the longest time, I didn't even think that was possible.
Neither did I. I only learned it was possible 2 days ago. Or no, I only learned it was possible a year ago, and it was back alley secret menu stuff with a completely unacceptable technique. And then 2 days ago, I learned that not 2 days ago, a couple of weeks ago, I learned, that there's someone in the United States doing what I have said was the absolute minimum that I would accept, but I was still unsure of it because I didn't know who it was or anything like that. And then I finally went and looked it up, and it's like it's on Dr. Wittenberg's website. Is they have specifically trans-feminine, gender non-conforming, trans-masculine, and the only option on gender non-conforming is what I want. So then it's like, okay, this is actually a reality. It was pretty emotional for me.
I can imagine. Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, it's like, okay, now I have to.
I mean, I come from a different time. I grew up in the 60s, and things were a little bit more binary back then. So that's the way my mind came to work as I was growing up. So it's hard for me to imagine wanting something the way you're wanting. I mean, it's hard for me to manage me wanting something like that. Those who want it, let's go for it, kids.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, so, what I want, like, things were still very binary. Like, genderqueer was coined 2 years after I knew I was non-binary, and non-binary was coined sometime after that. So when I was growing up, things were still very binary in the 80s and 90s, especially where I live, which is, we're not necessarily a conservative town. We're pretty, we're kind of pretty normal Canadian centrist. Usually our federal and provincial governments have opposing parties. So we have a liberal federal government and a conservative provincial. We have a liberal MP and a conservative member of provincial parliament, MPP. So, but even though we're pretty progressive, like we're still pretty. Stuff like this doesn't reach our way, especially not in the 80s and 90s. Generally LGBT people have been more accepted here than in a lot of other places, but there's we just don't talk about it and get on with our lives, right? So until recently, so I'm still coming from that binary background. The difference is that I'm non-binary, right? It's the difference is that I know who I am and what I want with my body. So that's probably the biggest difference. Is I'm already, I am non-binary. I get it, and even Jenny has said that she knew someone who was in many ways similar to me back when she was going through the starting of her transition, and they just didn't have the same words for it. So yeah, that's where I am. Like I'm still I might be the youngest person here. I'm 34. I'll be 35 in August 20th. But
well, you're certainly not the oldest person here.
Yeah, not by a long
shot. Oldest or youngest? I meant youngest. If I said oldest, I'm
I
think you probably are the youngest. I'm not quite sure how old Doc is.
But yeah,
September I turn 45.
Okay. So I'm the youngest.
Child.
Well, the whole point of this is to make sure that Doc can continue getting older.
Yes.
Yep.
Comfortably.
Yep. Again,
what? I have to get older? That's just what I wanted.
Every donation.
Yes, but you can do it at a very gradual rate.
Every donation, people, no matter how much no matter how much it is, every donation, I will go another day without shaving despite the dysphoria.
Yep. Well, and if you don't, if you can't afford to donate any cash, if you can help share the link around, the more people who see the GoFundMe link, the better the chance we have of meeting the goal.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So if you can put the link out on Twitter, on Facebook, on anything else you use.
I will do it.
Hold on. I gotta go, Matt.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, sorry.
While we're waiting. Yeah, where were we anyway?
No idea.
Earth.
Yeah.
Welcome.
No either.
We're still at 5.
Still at 5. Come on, donate so I don't have to shave. I hate shaving, but I hate having facial hair even more.
Yeah, I know that feeling. Absolutely. And it's really annoying when you cannot simply jump out of bed and go run out to do whatever you have to do, like some people are lucky enough to do, where you have to go through the whole procedure of scraping the face and installing prostheses and all this other happy garbage. It would, and I know there are some people out there who are going to say, "Well, you don't have to be the freak that you are," and it's like, screw you.
Yeah, I mean, like, but whatever, I'll deal with it. I already haven't shaved for a couple of days. I'm getting on my limit of what I'm comfortable with. So anything past here, and I'm going to be pretty uncomfortable with my with my face. So
and it's for a good cause.
Yeah, everyone donate. Everyone donate, even if I'm not like making myself feel like shit by doing that. But just donate to prevent me from shaving for, until the 13th.
Well, that makes it sound like people are going to be torturing you. So I don't think
It's
people
for
are
a
going
good
to
cause.
donate
for
in
a
order
good
to make you
cause.
unhappy. That's not the idea.
I'll give pictures. It's for a good cause. I'll put pictures up of my slowly growing facial hair. I have like no money to be able to contribute, so that's my contribute.
Woo!
Oh, y'all heard the train. Yeah, that's like a couple yards from where I live.
Oh, we all have fun stuff around.
That's not a track. That's HQ.
A friend of mine is in a similar position. The line runs right along her property line, which from where she sits in the kitchen, it's maybe 50 feet to the train. So yeah, whenever I call her, you can hear.
But see, if it wasn't something I didn't want to do, I wouldn't say I wouldn't. I wouldn't be doing this. That's what I have to say for the chat. So help Doc get a new car, and my contribution is I will sacrifice shaving so that people will donate. You should be donating anyways. So
I appreciate that.
It's not quite as big a deal as I'm making it out to be, but it's still annoying.
I understand. I shave everything, head and face.
Yeah.
Well, I guess not everything, but
Well, a big thing is that, like, because I've been lasering it, it's very patchy.
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't grow in evenly. I've got hair over here. I've got hair over here. I've got hair over here. I've got hair here, and here, but not here or here. It's like it's like weird and patchwork. I wasn't even, after my first session, I didn't shave for like 3 weeks until it started falling out. But now it just looks weird. Because it's like super patchy, and I have just like some places with a single really obvious hair, and other places with no hair, and other places with like random hair. So
yeah, I don't shave anymore.
So
I think maybe if I do, it's like once every 3 years.
Yeah, I mean,
that's what I mean. Like, I think I have more body hair than you do.
Maybe I've got a bit. So I have to shave my chest and my face at least once a month. Well, I shave a bit once every other day, my face. But and then I shave my chest when it gets annoying or when I go for laser.
Makes
But
sense.
because I have virtually no testosterone in my system anymore, my hair just does not grow very fast at all. And it's
I'm
getting
from
little
a
bit
very,
thinner.
very hairy family, so
I think my dad's side is very hairy and my mom's side isn't. That would be, yeah, that would be where I would say it. But it's also gotten, like, my arm hair is actually lightening. It's pretty much blonde now. I don't think I need to shave my arms anymore. It's weird. I have no one ever has any idea of what they're getting into or what's going to happen when they start HRT. So sometimes opposite things happen. Sometimes not opposite things happen. So
what amazes me is, well, it's got to be a combination of HRT and getting older, is that the body hair is virtually gone by now. Whereas I wasn't Robin Williams when I was younger, but it was definitely noticeable. But now, I mean, geez, even with the legs, maybe every 3 weeks I have to do that, and it's kind of nice, really. I mean, right now, you wouldn't notice until you got really close up, and there's nobody who wants to get that close at this moment. So what are you going to do?
yeah, I mean, my leg hair is still pretty visible, and my body hair is still pretty visible. Just my arm hair is considerably less. I'm fine with it how it is right now, so I don't need to worry about that. I was, yeah, I'm not super hairy, but I'm not not hairy either. I guess I'm kind of in the middle.
What's nice is I've got the platinum arm hair. There's just no color to it at all, so it might as well not be there.
I mean, I have some friends who are cis, some friends who are cis, and they're women, and they have considerably more like arm hair than I ever did. So,
oh look, there's a kitty.
There are also people who want me who want me to get them in touch with
your laser lady.
Yeah, her name is Renee. She's like amazing, and I'm like her favorite client because.
See, if I were a breeder and I had kids and I had I would have them lasered when they're small so they wouldn't have to deal with body hair when they're older. But other than that, I can't justify.
Have you ever done laser?
No.
Okay, that would be cruel and unusual torture to a child.
Yeah, it hurts.
I've done the Epilady. You want to talk about pain?
Oh no,
yeah, that's I call that my personal torture device. I've got one of those babies.
Yeah, I've done the Epilady. I've done waxing. I've done shaving. I've done all kinds of things. As I said, I'm a woman with body hair. And I can tell you this, I don't bother anymore. Because one, I can't justify the landfill for the razors. What do you call it? You know, I know that makes me sound, but occasionally I will burn it off. No, I'm serious. I will use fire to burn off body hair.
Oh God, you remind me. My babka would singe chickens when she brought them home from the butcher because they still had the little the picnofibers.
Yeah, the little pin.
Yeah, the little pin feathers.
Little pin feathers. Yeah. That's me.
So
that's me. I will burn off my body hair, but I will not. I don't want to I can't justify me like investing in a whole bunch of plastic stuff. Like I don't have my nails done for a reason. There's other things that I won't do for different reasons. I try to like minimize the amount of trash that I make. I'm kind of weird.
Except for my face, I generally use an electric razor.
Okay, sorry about that. I had to mute the conversation for a few minutes there.
Or I've tried waxing, and when I've done it, I've lost way too much skin. I still have the scars.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that. Yeah, all I do is I just have an electric razor I usually use unless I'm going to unless I'm going for laser, and then I use a disposable because that needs to be really, really close shaven. But with my facial hair, the way my facial hair is, it needs to, like, the laser hurts a lot. It's probably the most painful thing I've ever felt, and I felt some pretty painful things like middle ear infections, where the inside of my ear is the size of a ping pong ball. So, yeah, there is it with my hair. Yeah.
I just have very thick hair with very deep roots, so pulling it out is a really bad idea.
Yeah, I have extremely deep pores.
I've tried that routine too. Painful, and usually by the time my skin is healed, the hair has grown back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's not worth it. It's not worth it for me. I mean, it works for some people, but I just can't do it.
I just need, honestly, I just want rid of the beard, and I don't want to have hairy boobs. That's the only thing. If I do any other hair removal, it will be laser, because that works for me. But I'll probably take a break from doing it just because it's expensive, even with the discount.
Yeah, something I could not do with what I remember you saying about the cost. Normally, that would be, I try to keep my month's worth of groceries below that amount.
Speaking of, everyone needs to call their representatives if you're in the United States and fight for food stamps. They are looking to kick off, what is it, 200 million or 300 million?
I think it was over 300 million
dollars.
Wow.
Reduction from the program, and they're just planning on kicking people off. So if you don't want to see vulnerable people at your doorstep eating cat food,
well,
complain, because
that's
people
scary.
are going to have a reduction in the quality of life. And it's not like food stamps really provides enough money for 3 square meals a day. It's a supplemental program. It doesn't provide like luxury or like crazy amounts of nutrition or whatever. People are barely getting by, and that's why people who are poor gain weight, because you get what you can, which is usually empty calorie.
Yeah, you tend to get a lot of starch and sugar if you can't afford much.
Yes, right. Absolutely.
Because you're trying not to starve. Meanwhile, your body starts to starve, and you end up with cravings. And it's kind of like a catch-22. But if you want to make a difference, call your representative seriously and make a comment that not to allow the Trump administration to starve vulnerable people.
Yeah, and like,
there's also a net positive that people don't realize with food stamps is it actually puts money into the local economies.
Yep.
Yeah, it does. Yep. But in a food desert, sometimes the only thing you have is the local, where people don't have cars, which is why we're doing this.
Yeah.
And you don't want someone just being able to go. I mean, if all someone has is being able to go to the corner store and get whatever is edible there with their food stamps. You don't want to turn that off.
Well,
you're
that's
going
the
to have people
situation for a lot of
starving.
people here.
You're going to have people starving, and that's just basically what the deal is.
And starving is not a good way to die. I can think of bad ways to die. Starving is right at the top of them.
Yeah, for the people who live in town here and don't have a car, there's only one very small grocery store. So the selection sucks and the prices are ridiculous.
Yeah, when I lived in Fenland Falls with my mom, but still lived in Fenland Falls, the only grocery store there was a small IGA, and they had decent stuff, but it was expensive. And then that closed down, and a Sobeys opened. And I know that these are Canadian grocery store chains. I doubt anyone knows.
Well, actually, we have IGA here.
Yeah, I was going to say, I know about IGA.
And the one here in town had been an IGA like 10 years ago, but they weren't making enough money, so IGA pulled the plug on them. So now they're just an independent who's trying to get it from wherever they can.
Okay, but now it's a Sobeys, and Sobeys is like is probably our most expensive grocery store chain. So yeah, the food prices went from kind of high compared to Peterborough to extravagant.
Well, that's what's happening in the United States right now because of our dear POTUS doing things like, oh, I'm gonna raise tariffs, and I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna do that, and blah blah blah, and I'm gonna shit on the Mexicans, and and it's like, please don't, please stop. You're embarrassing, and you're also damaging poor people. But I don't think they care if poor people die.
No, they don't actually.
They only care about their friends who are tax evading douchebags. So,
well, no, if poor people die, the poor people that are still left will just make more. So,
because you have reproductive laws that are coming up in the United States that will threaten a woman's freedom or life if she practices any form of birth control. I mean, we're going to get to the point where they start calling the pill murder.
Well, they already call the
some already do.
I mean, on the law books, because this crap is being put into law, and it's basically Sharia. I mean, let's all be honest about this.
Oh, sure.
This is United States is being affected by a Christian Sharia.
Yeah.
State by state. Sensibilities are going down. There's fear-mongering. There's violence. I mean, when a student kicks another student's chair onto the ground because they're not standing up for the Pledge of Allegiance, and people are like, yeah! It's like, condone bullying for the sake of patriotism. There's something wrong with people if they think that violence of any kind is an answer, because violence
and that's not even patriotism, because our country is supposed to be founded on individual freedoms.
Well, not only that, but our country is founded on protesting.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So, patriotism is supposed to be supporting the ideals of the country, not forcing someone else to perform a ritual that you believe in.
Mm-hmm. You're preaching at the choir right now.
Yeah, I mean, I've said it like this. I don't know if it was in a hangout with anyone from here, but I've said that, like, doesn't matter if you're left or right in the States or centrist or whatever. Like, the only way that Americans really know how to solve problems, disputes, is through violence.
Yeah, right.
And
the violent
wing of Antifa, who I denounce because they're nothing more than vigilante thugs, taking matters into their own hands when they have when they don't know what they're even doing, they're just people who think that, you know, we're going to be vigilantes, basically. And you know, they've gone after people who they are supposedly trying to protect, who know nothing about what's going on in the area. You know, so
yeah, Antifa was another one that it was a movement started on a good concept that quickly went so far off the rails that they're as bad as the people they were supposed to be opposing.
a lot of them can be, yes, and they don't see it. And this is something where something I've recently come to hold to is that no matter how good the intentions, any ideology taken too far will become harmful if it's taken too far. I mean, we can see this where, you know, despite, you know, what religious people, you know, despite what Christians say their good intentions are, they are really, most of the, like, a lot of the denominations are just toxic, and they're fucking hate mongering assholes. And then, you know, we have feminism, which is supposed to be good, but we have you know, radical
I'm a feminist.
we have radical male tears feminists, and then from that came the completely androphobic turfs, which I would hope that you're not for any turfism there, Wonder Lady.
I don't know what a turf is. Thank you very much.
A turf is a trans exclusionary radical feminist, and they are worse than the NFL.
A what exclusive?
A trans
exclusionary radical feminist. In other words, these people think that we are nothing more than men in dresses.
Oh,
yeah, that's only
bullshit.
cis women. Yeah, they believe that only cis women qualify as being female.
Let's put
and
it
not
this
if
way.
they're too much.
Let me put it this way. When it comes to gender and gender identity, I know plenty of cis women who are more like men than the last guy I dated. Okay? I don't think any of that matters. I really don't. Are you a human being? Do you have needs? Do you bleed? Do you have feelings? Are you a compassionate human being? Do you have kindness? Do you have empathy? That's the shit I care about. I'm for equal rights for men and women and everything in between, to quote Diana.
Yeah,
you know
that's
what I mean?
the problem I keep having, is it seems that we keep fighting the same battle over and over.
Well, yes, because that way we don't
rights,
actually.
and it was gay rights, and it's trans rights, and it's like,
and abortion rights.
Why can't we just treat all humans the same, regardless
Do you know
of what category you want to pigeonhole them into?
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why we have to do this non-ending loop of issues that we've already dealt with. It's because what better way to run a political platform so you don't have to do things like, oh, I don't know, even out the equality between the classes. Protect people from phone scammers. Actually do something about the pollution in the oil industry. Talk about environmentalism, upgrading infrastructure for water and for electricity, which both are dying things in
how about having public transportation so everybody doesn't have to have a car just to have a job?
Well, the thing is, we used to do that, but the car industry lobbied as they started dismantling railroads and bus lines. I mean, we basically have an embarrassing transportation system compared to most countries. And the thing is, it's because of lobbyists that we are set up the way we are, and we have a problem. And they're like, oh, it's going to be too expensive to fix it. Well, it's going to be too expensive not to fix it. We need to invest in ourselves, invest in our people, invest in the quality of life, invest in education, I don't understand what the whole big deal is about like education, other than to keep the masses too stupid to realize that you're robbing them left and right.
I don't know. I wouldn't go that far. That's pretty.
No, I would go
pretty,
farther than that.
That's
I
pretty
would go
down the rabbit
farther than that.
hole.
No, it
That's
isn't.
pretty down the rabbit hole.
No, it isn't.
Actually, in fact, our public education system or our public school system was not really set up for education. It was set up to teach conformity so that people would be content being drones in a factory. So that everybody would be content just doing the same thing over and over all day long.
Upper education used to be free.
It.
Upper education used to be free. Education used to matter. We actually, like, American companies put iodine and salt so we could deal with the goiter problem and also with like developmental issues for children in order to, so that they could be smarter, not only in our own country but across the globe.
Yeah, that iodine and salt thing is a little.
I mean, we
conspiratorial.
Push.
It's extremely conspiratorial. It's like that's like turning the Frog's Gate level. I'm sorry.
What are there?
Oh, come on! Look at it. Read on it.
They're the people that
read about it.
And fluoride in water is mind control. That's
what on earth? I mean, like, iodine in the salt is a good thing.
Like,
it is a good thing. There are plenty of places like where they have barren, like good farming soil, but there's no iodine in it. The vegetables don't get iodine, and blah blah blah. And we have areas in the United States that we used to call the goiter belt. Iodine and salt matters. Iodine and salt matters also for fetal brain development. It is not a conspiracy. It's actually a good thing.
Sorry, I didn't know you were saying iodine and salt is good or bad or whatever.
No, it's a good thing, and that's what I'm talking about. Morton Salt did this whole global thing, United States thing. The government like funded it. We did this in order to reduce the amount of retardation.
Okay, and then I mistook
right,
what you were
so
saying.
It's not bullshit. That's what I mean. Look it up. It is a good thing that we did, and we used to try to raise IQ points in our children because every nation historically has recognized the fact that technology makes a difference between a leader and a follower. Like if your nation is like not able to defend itself, you need technology. Technology raises the quality of life. Technology does this, that, and the other thing. I mean, even Leonardo da Vinci wanted to be an inventor rather than an artist because he recognized these things. And the thing is
I'm just saying that what you're going on about with the education system being, intentionally designed this way or intentionally
it is right now. Way. It is right now because desperate people, poor people, people who can't get better jobs are more likely to go to church. Look at Betsy DeVos. She was in a Christian think tank along with like the George Bush's family. And it was basically how to get schools to get God back in schools, not educate them. Really, but to teach God. That's all they worry about today. And if you have people dependent on the church,
I mean,
they win.
I mean, like, yeah, there is the religious element to it, but like it takes longer than 4 years to change something like that because then you have to get all the teachers on board and all of that. I wouldn't go so I wouldn't and it sounded more like you're talking about even farther back in history. I wouldn't go so far as to think that there's some overarching conspiracy other than Christians being Christians and trying to make everybody else a Christian.
Well, what historical conspiracy do you think I was backing up?
It sounds more like the way you said it, it sounds like this has been going on since like the 1800s or something like that.
Well, what I was saying about the 1800s and things like that is that we used to push education.
Okay.
We used to push education. Now it's let's teach God in schools.
Well,
let's lessen the what do you call it, money that we put into education right now.
But that's not even Trump. I don't think Trump is religious in the slightest. That's Pence basically being Trump's handler and telling Trump what to do.
Actually, it's a GOP thing. They don't want to,
Yeah.
and they've been trying to reduce the amount of investment the United States does in education, and finally they have a puppet who will do that for them.
Which one's the GOP again?
The Republican Party. And the Republican Party really has, pushed for things that widen the gap between the classes, to the point that, they really only think that it's appropriate for the upper class to be educated, that the working class does not really need an education.
Well, that's kind of against what they say, isn't it?
It might be against what they say, but it's the policies that they're pushing.
Mm-hmm.
So
what they say to the public and the policies that they're pushing in Congress are almost completely unrelated.
So, don't nominate the absolute worst person to be the Democratic nominee.
Well, yeah, that would help too. The Democrats have a terrible problem of self-destructing.
And don't us people on the left who aren't completely batshit insane need to start policing our own people who are going way too far. Because I watched the American elections. I watched the last American election from the perspective of someone who has no horse in the race. Actually, Trudeau has kind of made a fool out of Trump in trade negotiations and stuff. From what I understand, we're getting the better. We're getting the better part of the deal, so it's not even necessarily a bad thing for Canada. So I watched the American election with someone who has no horse in the race, really, and it's like, okay, first Hillary Clinton ran the absolute worst ever elections campaign in the history of elections campaigns. Not only did she fight a battle that she, that wasn't in her area of expertise, but she fought it against someone who is an expert in slinging mud. And then there was all of the obviously fake scandals, all of the Russian stuff that, Russia was definitely interfering with American elections, but it's nothing that they haven't been doing for the last 50 years. So it's like and a lot of it went to fuck the Democratic platform. We're just going to sling mud at Trump because Trump is horrible. And it's like they fought both in the political system and out of the political system. The battle was fought on a battlefield that was not fitting for the Democratic Party to be fighting, and is what the Republican Party wanted to fight.
So I'll grant you, the Democrats have been doing terrible with strategy. They have not been, able to elevate it to the actual issues.
I'm going to take it a step farther, though. And it's also a lot of people on the left driving the people who are closer to the center. Not the bullshit, Sargon Center or whatever, but the people who are legitimately, moderate and on the center and want to look at people and not just, I'm going to vote for my party. So a lot of people were pushed over to the other side. Of course, a lot of the people on the right didn't like Trump at all, and they actually vote. And from what I understand, they actually voted for Clinton because they didn't like Trump. So there was a lot of that on both sides.
Actually, I have heard of virtually none of that from the right.
Right. One thing you need to consider is that she didn't really go to every state that mattered. She just assumed, and this is the problem. She just assumed that he was so terrible, she didn't have to campaign as hard as she should have.
Yeah, and the Democrats made the assumption that all the women would automatically vote for her.
Right, and that's total crap. I mean, I voted for her in tears because I do not favor center politics.
Yeah, same here. I held my nose and voted for Clinton because I felt I had to.
Yeah.
I would have voted for Clinton, and only because because she's the more liberal choice.
Well, no, she's basically a Republican in sheep's clothing. But the thing is, it's like she's not him, which is why I voted for her, even though I'm sitting there going, what's the difference between the two?
Well, and that's the thing
is that Trump isn't even really the president in anything, but he's basically a figurehead. He's not.
No, he's actually the president. He's actually the president. I mean,
but he's a figure. No. Trump is a figurehead president. He's not running the show. Pence is running the show, as well as the rest of the party. Trump is not mentally fit to be to be in politics at all. He is not mentally fit.
If he had filled all the cabinet spots with members, I would agree with that statement. But he hasn't. And with the amount of people that he keeps firing, I would agree with you. He is running the show badly.
Yeah.
He's not.
Don't forget now that the idea is to destroy all the cabinet positions.
Yeah, I know, especially the EPA and the Education Department. He has made it clear that he wants education to be run by the states, individual states, on what they think. Well,
that's how Canada does it.
Yeah, but when you have, sections of the country who actually want to acknowledge Moses as a founding father, I don't think Canada is that freaking mental.
Yeah, we're not.
The United States is. There's a difference.
I mean,
we have fundies here that would fit right in the Middle East, aside from the fact that the title of their religion.
I mean, you could ask Apologia. We have them. We just don't have as many of them.
No, we have plenty of them. We have millions of them, and they're becoming radicalized. Like the week that Trump got in, my friend's kid got punched out for being black.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, this is not just something where it's him and he's just a figurehead and has no impact. He's got a huge impact. No, he's not.
It's a figurehead. It's
no
anything of import, any decisions of import are being manipulated by people behind him. He's probably got early onset dementia, and he's had that going on for a while. He's not mentally fit. He's, one of the things he's manipulated.
But
he's being manipulated.
Are his family. His family are the ones who are writing things up for him to sign. Mm-hmm. So they are manipulating things just to increase the family fortune.
And how do you know that that basically, you're saying that he's shuffling his cabinet a lot and firing people and getting new people in.
No, he didn't fill the cabinet.
He didn't fill the you're trying to make a point, but is that Trump who's not filling the cabinet?
Yes.
Or is that Trump being convinced not to fill the cabinet?
No. One, he can't get people to work for him, and two, he hasn't filled the cabinet because he can't find enough ass kissers.
Okay, well that works. Now again, you never actually answered. You never answered my question. Is it his decision not to fill the cabinet, or is
Yes.
he being convinced not to fill the cabinet by other people?
Seasoned politicians tell him not to fill a cabinet. It looks bad. There's no benefit to not filling a cabinet so that your government officials are doing what you want. There's no reason to do that. Like, the GOP could get more stuff done if they could put people into the cabinet.
We do not have ambassadors to several countries.
Right. It's like owning a Walmart chain and only having managers in 3 stores when there's millions of stores. That's a little hyperbolic, but there's no reason not to fill the cabinet. It doesn't make any sense for any political party to go, yeah, I'm not filling you.
What cabinet positions are filled?
I don't have the list in front of me. I'm sorry.
Okay. Because
But
if there's things that they want to be hurt, like education.
They have an education person and they have an EPA person. Both of them are vile. One of them had a history of suing the EPA for, because he wanted to be a polluter before he got the position of basically dismantling the EPA. It's easier for them to dismantle a cabinet position or the thing that they're trying to support if they put someone in charge, like HUD. HUD is Ben Carson. They don't want poor people to have houses or shelter. So they have Ben Carson. It's easier for them to dismantle. I know you think I'm full of shit here, but I mean, it makes no sense, even if you're trying to dismantle a thing, by leaving the cabinet position empty. This is an embarrassment to the GOP not to be able to fill cabinet positions.
Yeah, and when you're talking about right or left, there is still a huge difference between the U.S. and Canada. What we consider the left are pretty much centralists anywhere else in the world.
Let me try to rephrase this in another way. As long as he's doing the important stuff that they want him to do, they don't care if he has they don't care about the other stuff.
Well, and I'm not just talking about Trump. I'm talking about the whole Republican Party. I'm talking about the fact that the Republicans have controlled Congress, and see what Congress has done during the time it has been under Republican control.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I will ask, I don't get this. The one thing I don't get, and I guess, like, if people in power and if people, and there are people who want to make a profit, what good does hurting the lower class do for them? It seems counterproductive. If you're trying to, make millions of dollars selling shit to the poor, wouldn't it make sense for the poor to have money to spend? I'm talking.
No, wait. On that one, I covered that one before. It doesn't matter how many poor people die because there will always be more of them made.
I'm not talking about poor people dying. I'm talking about trying to keep people poor. That makes no sense to me because if like we recently raised our
here's how it makes sense, okay? If you are poor in the United States, you can't afford health care. If you can't afford health care, then you get to the point where you're in trouble with a big medical issue. Now, at that point, it's homelessness or your house. It's like treatment or not treatment is homelessness or dying slowly. A lot of people choose dying slowly. Some people choose homelessness.
Okay, but that still doesn't
there's
make
an there's an industry in the United States to basically like charge 1,000% of what a medication is worth, or you can get across the border in Canada.
Okay,
it's not just one industry; it snowballs. There's more money to be made from poor and desperate people.
Okay, but you're still not making you're still not making any sense. Like,
Diana, do you get it?
The poor have their options extremely limited. You can direct the spending of what few dollars they have to whatever pockets you want those dollars to go to. Do I have that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that's a good. I thought.
Yeah, May, I agree with you that it's not making any sense.
It's
that's how broken.
It's
that's
not
how
making
broken
sense
the
as far
American
as
system is.
Yes, it doesn't make sense as far as human decency is concerned.
Well, okay. Before I was cut off, like I was mentioning how Ontario recently raised the minimum wage from like $11.50 to $14 an hour. Now, the first thing that happened is all the businesses, all the corporations that complained that they're going to lose profits and everything, because they have to pay their employees a decent wage, and then they started making more money because all the people in positions like me, who I made like 18 grand last year, which is peanuts here. I had all the really lower class people have enough money to start dropping money into the laps of like Tim Hortons, or I can actually buy clothes.
Yes, and it's the same thing has been proven here. There have been cities and areas of the country that have raised the minimum wage. Like Portland, Oregon has raised the minimum wage to, I think, $14 an hour.
Yeah.
And yes.
And let's not forget that the United States... Oh, sorry. Go on.
The local economy improved when they raised the minimum wage. So that has been proven to work here, but the Republicans refuse to allow it to happen on a national level.
And wait. I'm trying to say something. Let's not forget that if you have poor people, etc., you have higher rates of crime. And the United States has basically a slavery loophole with private prisons. We have more of our population in prison than any other country in the world.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. We
have, and companies pay private prisons to have products made that they sell to the United States and other countries, and they don't have to pay these people more than 12 cents for an hour. And if you do not work, you get to go to solitary confinement, which is torture. Now, this is a reality. This is why we have our drug laws the way we are. We want as many people in prison as possible. And now we have a new source of prisoners because we are taking immigrants and putting them in private prisons while we cage their children. And by the way, the camps that have the caged children, Betsy DeVos, that's her company.
I see.
She gets paid for that crap. So, I mean, there are different loopholes and different layers and different facets. I mean, you're coming to the problem from a decent human being who's in a country who may not be perfect, but is definitely trying to do its best. You know what I mean? The United States isn't even trying to do its best.
We have a bunch of people who we need to tell the fuck off and stay out of our government, but
you do hear what I'm saying. You're coming from this from a person who is like not tainted like an American GOP minded person.
It still just makes no sense to me.
It doesn't make sense to us.
It's a problem that we have. Like, what I'm saying is it's a problem that we have here as well. Like we have a lot of unfortunately, certain things here are very Americanized because, we're right beside you guys. There's a saying is that whenever the United States catches a cold, Canada's the first one to get it from you. And especially our conservatives, and now kind of our liberals, our conservative politics are becoming very, very American. Stephen Harper would not have been out of place as the president of the United States. He actually did a lot of harm to our country and convinced a lot of the conservative people he was doing good. But if a business was caught doing the stuff that he did, they would have been sued for anti-competitive and fucking with shareholders and all that sort of stuff. Like he was selling off national assets just so that he could say, no, we don't have a deficit and shit like that. So we do have a lot of these problems, and like I said, our conservatives are becoming disturbingly close to American politics. Perhaps even worse, because our conservative party leaders have always been, better than Bush or Trump.
Right, but
far.
in Canada,
and
you are not starving or dehydrating children to death in cages and wrapping them in tinfoil and making them sleep on cement floors.
Well,
we are. And that is an act of genocide to remove children from their parents based on race.
I mean, have you heard of?
Not to mention what we're doing to
indigenous
peoples.
Oh yeah, I was about to touch on that. Have you? Our record with the
indigenous peoples are just as bad as Americans. I hate to say it.
Our record with the First Nations has not been very good, especially not recently with
I know. I watched the protests.
I can't even pronounce it. I haven't heard it pronounced for a while anyways, and I'm terrible with pronunciations. But yeah, we have a similar situation, just with a different group of people and in a different way. But say what you said about Betsy DuBois makes it is starting to make some things make sense to me. But still, I think that people would be making more money getting rid of the poor instead of exploiting them.
Well, of course, I agree with you there. However, our government doesn't look at it that way. Our government doesn't look at that way. They're only concerned about a certain percentage of Americans actually making money.
And by getting rid of the poor, I mean making them not poor anymore.
I agree with
not
you.
Getting rid of them.
I understood what you meant. I honestly do.
Yeah, I just don't want anyone taking me out of context there.
Okay, yeah, but the thing is, the powers that be are not concerned about raising the quality of life for all. They're only worried about hoarding money for themselves, and unfortunately, it's kind of like you have to follow the money in order to figure out your politics in the United States.
Yeah, but again, like that. I think they would be. I think that they would be getting more money if everybody was well off.
The system is not sustainable in the long run. It is all very short-term thinking. And they don't care about it being short-term thinking because they feel they have enough money that if the whole country goes to hell, they've already got a private island.
It already happened, so.
Well, there's more to it, but I need to step away from the keyboard for a moment. I have to make a phone call because of my friend. So I will be back. But I mean, like, what you're saying makes sense if you're reasonable. However, there are people who are running the show who are not reasonable. They want to go back to coal because they're lobbyists. Promote coal. They want to do this because they're lobbyists. They want to do this, like private prisons. If you don't have enough beds filled in some of them, the state owes the prison money if they don't fill all the beds. There is an incentive in the United States to jail people. Yeah. It's not just it's so not black and white. There are so many different little things, and unless you read the actual information and blah blah blah, and you can sit there and go, oh, that's a problem. And that is the reality of what we're dealing now. We also have police officers who are executing people on the street. We have all kinds of issues.
Oh, don't get me started on your police.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's a far more nasty shithole than I can possibly explain to you. None of it makes sense unless you're the person who's getting their pocket filled. I know it sounds like a conspiracy, but that is the reality. A corporation in the United States has rights like a human does.
Yes, and here.
And the thing is, in my opinion, that's wrong. Also,
it's crazy.
A corporation's financial losses matter more than an individual's. They'll do things about a corporation's financial issues where they won't do it for an individual, no matter who you sue, etc., etc. It's hard to explain, really.
Well, a corporation has rights like a person, but they are not held responsible for their actions.
Exactly. I'll be right back. I have to make that phone call.
I mean, a corporation can be dismantled, but...
May, if you would look at the side chat and the point Angie made that, you're able to get health care. There's a lot of people in the U.S. who can't see a doctor, period. They can't afford to see a doctor.
I'm raising my hand on that one.
I just responded to that. I didn't actually have a doctor since I aged out of my pediatrician until a few years ago when I finally got off of the wait, like when I finally got through the waiting list. There are so many people who don't have doctors here. Just because we have universal health care doesn't mean that everybody has, everybody can see a doctor. We can go to a walk-in clinic, but even that can be troublesome. I've had to go to walk-in clinics, and it's like, okay, all of our appointments are filled. You have to call in advance. All of our appointments are filled. Try calling back at 9 a.m. the next day, and that was like 9:05 when I finally got through to them. We simply don't have enough funding for our health care. The Peterborough Regional Health Center, which is the local hospital, not just for Peterborough, but for most of Peterborough County, can't actually afford. It's like losing money madly. They do not get enough funding because we don't have enough funding for them. And that was under Kathleen Wynne, an extremely that was for Kathleen Wynne, who is extremely progressive, even though she was extremely corrupt. So we have a different set of problems. I was fortunate enough to get set up with the person who's my doctor, who's not even a doctor. She's a nurse practitioner.
Well, yeah, if you want to go by that, I technically, apart from a surgeon, have not seen a doctor in like 15 years because all the clinics I've been to, the highest person I've ever been able to see is a nurse practitioner. I have actually never met the doctor who writes my prescriptions and has been doing so for the last 3 years. I have never met this person.
12.
All right.
Wait, 28, 29, 30, 31. I went 13 years without seeing anyone without seeing a doctor, because well, not quite that long, but I basically went 13 years without having a doctor. So yeah, that was quite a bit of time. I also, like I said, we have our own set of problems, and
Oh yeah.
Like our healthcare seems good from your perspective because you have none, but when you look at, say our healthcare system, what's covered compared to the NHS, the NHS looks head and shoulders above our healthcare system, except like my sister went looking for a dentist because she had like a cracked molar or something, and it took her a month and a half to get a dentist. So because the NHS, thanks to the Britain basically not having a liberal party that isn't whatever Labour is, that isn't basically anti-Semitic, because they don't really have a good, left-wing option that isn't horrible. Like the conservative parties have basically fucked the NHS. So, and now Rob Ford is basically going to completely fuck up Ontario's healthcare system.
But that's the point. We'll at least have one for them to fuck up.
Yeah, well, we
don't have that, and we're just talking about doctors here.
I haven't
even getting into dentists and opticians.
I haven't seen
that, these are considered supplementary services that even people who have insurance often can't get.
I'm in that situation. Dentists aren't covered for us. Like no type of that is covered for us. I need physiotherapy for my leg. That's not covered by OHIP. And that's like sticking needles in my leg and electrifying the muscles in my knee so that they decide to work again. So like only the absolute bare minimum is covered for us.
I need jaw surgery. I can't chew anything that I can't squish between my fingers. And I've been to 2 oral surgeons who have said that, yes, I need the surgery, and the insurance absolutely will not cover it.
That's horrible. I don't know if mine would cover that or not. I don't know if OHIP would even cover that either. So
yeah, so basically I'm stuck on a soft food diet for the rest of my life unless I can somehow come up with $20,000, and I'm living on less than $1,000 a month.
Yeah, that's. I mean, if I was living on my income, on the same amount of income I had somewhere in the States, I would be doing pretty good. The cost of living here is quite a bit higher, I'll say that. But yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that it's worse here. I'm just, or I'm not trying to compare it to yours. I'm just saying that, we have our own set of problems. And it's not quite as, it's not quite as good as a lot of people make it out to be. And
well, yeah, I realize that the Canadian system is still pretty poor compared to a lot of European countries.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a fact.
Yeah. And like I said, our provincial government is excessively corrupt. Even the left-wing ones are extremely corrupt. So
well, And like Bubba's saying in the side chat, that he only gets health care because he can go to the veterans hospitals. And he says he has had no dental care at all since he left the Air Force because the VA doesn't cover dentists.
I've had no dental care at all since I was in my mid-teens, because it's not covered by OHIP.
Yeah.
And I'm saving what I'm getting from my teeth are terrible, but I'm saving what I'm getting from my work benefits in case I really need something fixed really badly. I can live with what I've got now, but in case something really bad happens, I'm not touching that.
Yeah, but that's, we're talking the veterans here now, that people who signed up and agreed they were willing to put their lives down to defend this country can't get decent medical coverage.
No one can get decent medical coverage on the continent.
Yeah. And there's a huge problem with that. And in the US, a huge part of that problem is the insurance companies.
Oh yeah, insurance companies.
They're making a lot of money off of the system being the way it is. And whether or not people get decent care isn't even a consideration.
Yeah, insurance companies need to be regulated. The US government needs to be heavily reformed. Yeah, we the people isn't a thing in your country. We the people isn't really a thing in our country. The only reason we have any amount of control over our government is because our government doesn't have one person in, well, our government does have one person in charge, and that one person has vowed never to use her power for as long as she lives.
A big difference you have, though, is that you have a choice of more than two parties.
It's not, even if we really don't. We really don't. The NDP has, only once has the NDP ever, only twice has the NDP ever been relevant in our federal politics. And the first time it was because of Brian Mulroney being so unpopular that just no one voted for the Conservative Party, and they lost official party status when they only won 3 seats in Parliament, and that was in 1993. The only other time is when Michael Ignatieff ran for Prime Minister with the Liberal Party, and he was so unpopular, almost the same thing happened to the Liberals. So the only time that the NDP, which is our, really our only other decent option from the Conservatives and the Liberals, really the only time the NDP are ever relevant is if the Liberals or Conservatives fuck up. They're getting a little bit better in recent time, and I have a feeling they're going to do decently in the next election. I think we might have a Conservative minority, but a minority government usually does not accomplish much. Because they're afraid of losing their government and getting a vote of no confidence. Because our two left-wing parties can work together when they need to. The problem is that, or the thing that keeps our government in check the most is that nobody votes for the Prime Minister. People vote for their Member of Parliament. And the Member of Parliament is, someone who has to deal with their constituents on a daily basis. And they're held, and in good constituencies, like the one we have here, our members of Parliament are held accountable for what happens in their ridings. So if they want to be voted for again, the members of Parliament listen to their constituents.
And the problem here is that our members of Congress are not held accountable to the people they're supposed to represent.
Yeah.
And a lot of that has to do with, even if they completely go against the interest of the people they represent, when the election comes up, they can throw out a lot of religious bullshit. They can throw out a lot of fear mongering that the gays are taking over, and they'll get reelected anyway.
Yeah, that's true. And I think that we have more seats in Parliament though than you have like than you have Congress people. So like we have a lot smaller. We have a lot more people. Like my MP is Miriam Monsef. She was actually born in Iran and immigrated to Canada when she was like 11. I know people who went to school with her because she's basically a local girl. I know people who went to school with her. I know people who have personally known every MP going back to Peter Manning. Was it Peter Manning? I can't even remember his name. No, it started with an L. Going back to like at least 12 years ago. It wasn't Peter. No, it wasn't Peter. Like pretty much everybody is local for our MPs and our MPPs in a place like this. So like we can go and be like, especially in a place like this, it's like we have an MP for the general Peterborough County, I think, the whole Peterborough County. And a lot of MPs, especially in rural areas or small cities like this, are local people. So people know who they're voting for before they even vote for them. So you don't get as you don't get as much. You don't get as much of this. You're blindly voting for somebody who you think aligns with you. You can go ask people like who they you can go ask people about their MP or about the MP on the ballot. Like a coworker of mine used to work for Jeff Skinner, the previous the previous guy who ran for the federal Conservatives here, and as well as personally knowing a lot of people who went to school with Miriam Monsef, his opponent. Also, our Conservative MP before Miriam Monsef, his name was Dean Del Mastro. And there's a reason I call him Dean Del Fatso, and it's not because I come up with the name. It came up with the name of someone who actually went to school with him, whose daughter is a friend of my sister, and he actually punched the guy in the nose once.
Okay, I'm just looking some things up here quick. Okay, and Canada has 443 members of parliament.
Yep.
The U.S. has 535 members of Congress.
Okay.
But the U.S. has 10 times the population of Canada.
Exactly.
So, yeah, as far as representation per person, you've got way more people, in your parliament going for you.
Exactly. We have smaller.
Yeah, each member of your parliament has a lot fewer constituents to answer to.
Yeah, and I will actually use an example. This never came to fruition because fucking Ford's MPPs, members of provincial parliament, basically told him to fuck off with this before anyone, like within days of him saying he's going to do this. But he was going to bring up some transphobic bullshit where, he was going to try to enshrine in Ontario politics that being trans is an ideology and not like an identity or some bullshit like that. I basically was starting a letter writing campaign to all of the to Ford and all of the conservative MPs And that, I would like to think that getting thousands of letters in each to each MP saying you're wrong, because even a lot of the conservative people around here don't agree with that. That would have scared them into not doing it. But I think the MPs already realized that, one, that no, you're wrong. This isn't how this works. And I think that they wanted to get voted again. And they probably would not have gotten voted for again if they went through this. So it's like, if you want to have another government, you better drop this real quick. It's actually the edgelord centrists like Sargon that we have that are more against trans people than even the conservatives, because the conservatives, they're quiet people. They just don't care unless you're, an Americanized politician like Doug fucking Ford. So I never got off the ground with that, though, because I didn't need to. It was over before it even began. But that's like, letter writing campaigns actually work here.
Well, and they can work here if you can get enough people excited about it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, part of the problem here is that, the American population is pretty much lazy and disinterested in politics.
I mean, I don't know if other people. I mean, a lot of our people, a lot of Canadians are lazy and disinterested in politics too. But sometimes our politicians force people to not be disinterested in politics. And I've said it before. Any parliament, Canadian, British, or Australian Parliament, is literally blood sport. So it's literally blood. It's vicious. It's nasty. It makes American politics look tame in comparison. It's hilarious when you have MPs calling other MPs shitheads from across the floor. So it's really vicious, because to get
how is that any different from here? We have people in the Senate literally yelling racial slurs at other senators.
When they get into actually arguing policy, I think I've been told it's a lot worse than the American system.
Well, that's the difference, that here they never get into arguing policy.
Okay. Like, if you can get it, I think they might even put it online. Watch Question Period for Parliament. Some of the questions that are presented are just like, they're like, there is extreme vitriol behind this question, but it's a legitimate question to ask in politics as well, right?
Well, and that's part of the value you have with having more than two parties, that even if the minor parties don't seem to have much power, they can at least bring up questions.
Oh yeah, our Green Party, which is completely irrelevant, completely and 100% irrelevant. They have 2 seats in Parliament, but the party leader, Elizabeth May, is extremely good at debates and like arguing and bringing up questions and stuff like that. Just nobody wants to vote for her party. So when she does, go and debate, sometimes parties won't even let her go in debates because her party doesn't have official party status. That's how terrified they are of her. But she still sits in parliament because she's still an elected MP. So she like our party leaders are like terrified of her because of how good she is at doing stuff like that, and she really keeps them in check. Now, I would never put the Green Party in power, just like I would never put the New Democratic Party in power. But yeah, they are there to kind of throw. Well, you say it's a two-party. It's more than a two-party system. We kind of have three parties.
But
and
the United what Purple is trying to say is we're stuck in a two-party system.
Don't you have independents?
It's oh boy, how do I explain this?
We have independents, but the amount of money required to run in a federal election makes it virtually impossible unless they're themselves independent billionaires.
Okay.
Not only that, but with the way it's structured for a two-party system. There is no there is no support for a three-party system. If you do run on a third-party ticket, you're automatically like accused of trying to detract from the bulk of legitimate candidates.
Well, you're not even let in.
Right, you can't run in a primary. That's why Bernie ran under the Democratic ticket, but got absolutely no support from the Democratic Party, even though he ran on their ticket because he's a socialist. What do you call it? There's other like complications in it as well. We don't really do three parties or more in the United States. It's choice A or choice B, and that's basically it. Like the Democrats left him off on the DC primary ticket, Bernie, and they didn't even do anything to correct that. They said it was an oversight. They did everything they could to dismantle his campaign.
Yeah, even though, it cost them though because they didn't win and now. But it's sort of different.
Well, and the whole reason really that the DNC would not support Bernie over Hillary is because he was an independent. Mm-hmm. And they were afraid that on some critical piece of legislature, instead of pulling their party line, he might actually decide to just do the right thing.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
with our two-party system, loyalty to the party is more important than getting anything accomplished.
Yep.
No, we are starting to kind of get into that, unfortunately. Our conservative party, Stephen Harper was basically called literally Hitler long before Trump was a thing. And Stephen Harper pretty much, almost was. He really forced his MPs to, especially the backbenchers, who are, irrelevant people from irrelevant places who just go yay or nay. He really forced them, a lot of his backbenchers, into obscurity, and basically threatened to kick most of them out of the party if they didn't do what he said. Some of them actually left the party. A few of them crossed the floor over to the Liberals, as I understand it. But a lot of them, there was a lot of very unhappy conservative members of parliament from that. A lot of what's going on with our system is not very good. Our biggest problem is like how the hell is our Liberal Party even winning elections when our left-wing parties are split between two parties. Like I said, we are probably going to have, because we have a three-party system and we have more than three parties, but because of our three-party system, that's how Stephen Harper got elected 3 terms in a row. If the NDP wasn't around, people would have voted Liberal for all of them except for when Ignatieff ran. If we had a 3-party system, or if we had a 2-party system, we would not have Doug Ford as our prime minister right now. It would probably be whoever the Liberal person is, but people couldn't figure out whether they wanted to vote for the Liberal left-wing party or the Conservative left, or the Liberal left, or the NDP, who are both left-wing parties. Our biggest problem, is that all of it was never a thing in Ontario, but our biggest problem is that basically all the small right-wing parties, basically merged into one big party, and we still have 2 left-wing parties. So the left, at least federally, the left here has a huge disadvantage when dealing with the Conservatives. My guess is that unless our boy JT does something spectacular, or unless political Jesus fucking becomes the leader of the NDP. Nobody likes Mulcair. If he's even still a leader, he was the leader last time. Unless one of these 2 things happens, we're probably going to see a conservative minority government. Which a conservative minority government isn't as bad as a majority, but it's still pretty bad. So our 3 parties has a lot of disadvantages as well. We would actually bet with how our government, we're in a better position, not because we have more than 2 parties. We're in a better position because Parliament works, whereas whatever you guys are doing doesn't work nearly as well as our Parliament. It's Parliament that's the thing that makes things not as bad. Not having 3 parties. We're actually at least for the left, we're actually at a disadvantage of the 3-party system, because the Liberal Party and the NDP party will not work together unless they absolutely have to. The NDP party was actually running attack ads against the Liberals along with the Conservatives in our last election. So, yeah, we have our own set of problems with having a 3-party system. Whereas, if we had 2 parties, the NDP, the Greens, and the Liberals would all be one party, and they would have enough of an ability to, instead of having conservative minority governments, we would have liberal majority governments in a lot of the elections where there was a conservative minority government. So really, it's a whole different thing. But the fact that we have 1/10 the population and almost as many seats in our Parliament as you do in Congress is the reason why our political system works better, not us having 3 parties, basically.
Wait, who's debating whether I'm real or not? I love you too, Angie. Oh my goodness, I'm a fembot. Yay!
Oh boy.
I'm a fembot. That's like my fantasy. Give me that robotic body.
Of course, you have to go and
I want my tits to fire laser beams.
No. Now you have to go and sentence people to death by snoo.
I don't know what that is. I'm not really good on what do you call it?
But that's a Futurama reference.
Yeah, you're
basically okay. I think I think I watched a season of Futurama before I couldn't watch anymore. I've got a very low tolerance for anything that remotely seems like The Simpsons. I don't like The Simpsons.
Okay.
I don't like Family Guy. I don't like
I
that
hate
crap.
Family Guy. I hate
He's
Family
got
Guy.
testicles on his chin. I can't watch that
You
shit.
know, I
hate
don't like
Family
The
Guy.
Simpsons, but I did like Futurama.
I love Futurama, and the
characters
Futurama was
decent,
right.
but I didn't like the art, so I really couldn't get into it. Some of the visuals were not pleasing to me, and I'm a highly visual person.
Futurama was right when they said that the first 500 years of The Simpsons was great, but the last 500 years have gone downhill. So I have not enjoyed The Simpsons in a very long time.
I've never enjoyed The Symptoms of the color of jaundice.
Okay.
Maybe if they were like blue. I love blue. I love green. But
I had always wondered.
Yellow is a panic color to me.
I had always wondered if the skin tone from The Simpsons wasn't picked as a nod to that at the time they came out, that was the only color they had for Lego minifigs. All the faces were always yellow up until like 1978 or something.
No. Mm-mm.
They used to advertise Butterfinger.
Yeah.
Ugh, yellow.
Nobody
yellow. Yummy yellow is an advertising color.
Nobody
and
better
also shark bait.
Yeah, I don't know. Our system is better, but it's not because it's got 3 parties.
Well, we will not agree on that. Because choice A or choice B, in my opinion, is how you dress a toddler. And if the parties themselves are voting on the person who you get to pick from, that's a problem.
Well, here's the thing. Does the U.S. even have choice A and choice B?
No, not really. Because the parties decide who their reps are going to be, and then you have to put up with their reps.
Because when you look at it, the Democrats that I see are basically Republican light.
Yeah. I mean, you're basically voting between John Johnston or John, what was it? John Johnston or Johnston John or something like that. In like the first 5 or 6 episodes, the Futurama pointed that out. Speaking of Futurama.
Well, we do have some decent Democrat people running this time. Whether or not they get through this stage and into the final run is completely curious.
I'm trying to not have hope because I don't want that hope dashed.
Yeah, don't have hopes. Have a favorite, but don't have hopes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
My favorite.
But we need to get money out of politics. We need to do something about lobbyists. We also need to do things about, like, a representative doesn't have to listen to you if you're from another state. However, they don't listen to the people in their states anyway.
Yep.
So, I mean, they're not really representing the interests of their people. They just have excuses for not listening to others, even if that one decision is a federal decision rather than a state-run decision. It's kind of weird. And I do get, like, they're supposed to be representing their constituency, but they're not. They don't even poll their constituency to see how they feel about things like keeping we had an exorcism in Congress the other day, by the way.
What?
We had an exorcism.
I did not see that.
Look it up. It's in Google. It's disturbing. We had an exorcism in Congress this week. within the last 7 days.
You need to
Way
get
to go,
religion out of
separate.
politics.
We have more religion seeping into politics. Thank you very much to, like, one, the education system, two, etc., 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 etc. Highly fundamental politicians running and getting in and staying in. Thank you, gerrymandering. We have all kinds of issues that are contributing to this. Basically, I want to be the Handmaid's Tale fapping material.
Yep.
Do you want to know what?
seen
Do you
that.
want to hear something really scary that's going to disturb everyone else in this chat?
Oh, try it.
Canada has no separation of church and state legally.
We don't either, apparently.
You do legally.
But it doesn't make any difference.
It's not making a difference. And
No,
unless the law is enforced, it might as well not be there.
I saw it when I'm remembering. I saw it. This is crazy here. This is from the Progressive Secular Humanist. U.S. House chaplain performs exorcism to cast out demons from Congress. Whatever happened to separation of church and state? In a ridiculous display of religious superstition, U.S. House chaplain Pat Conroy prays to cast out, quote, spirits of darkness, end quote, from Congress. Appearing on the House floor Thursday morning, House Chaplain Pat Conroy delivered the opening prayer, at one point declaring, and I quote, "This has been a difficult and contentious week in which darker spirits seem to have been at play in the people's house. In your most holy name, I now cast out all spirits of darkness from this chamber, spirits not from you," end quote.
Diana, by the way, if you really want some entertainment, and I mean really good entertainment that's gonna light your ass on fire, look up that particular, like, man of the cloth, and you'll see some very interesting things about the personal Bible studies he does in Washington, even though he lives in California. That we pay for.
So yeah, he's the guy that runs prayer groups for the cabinet, right? Yeah.
There's so much information about that, and he does live in California, and they do fly him back and forth on our dime. On our dime.
So
not their personal pockets.
So has anyone, I doubt it, but has anyone here ever played through Final Fantasy Tactics?
I don't play Final Fantasy.
Yeah, I haven't played any of the Final Fantasy
I remember
games.
Tactics from the 90s.
Well, it was it. Oh, fuck, I'm old. Okay, so like the it's actually a very it's actually kind of an interesting take on it, on sort of Christianity. Religion in that world is very important. A lot of things are religious, and it's basically based on like medieval and Renaissance time periods, for how or even Dark Ages for how the religion works. So even though it's like sort of a recovering post-apocalyptic setting. So one thing, this is going to be spoilers, but the game is pretty old, so if you haven't played it, whatever. Basically, what is part of the plot of the story is that there are these mythical heroes called the Zodiac Braves, who defeated the demon Lucavi, I think it's pronounced, to save the world. Now, when you go through the game, you realize the church is basically trying to revive the Zodiac Braves to put an end to all war and be good and yada, yada, yada. But when they finally start reviving them, you learn that the people who are involved in this are actually quite evil and corrupt. and the Zodiac Braves, who are supposed to be like basically saints and heroes, are actually evil demons that are possessing the people who are trying to revive them, and you go around destroying them. And then the leader of the Zodiac Braves was basically, essentially the antagonist. I don't remember a lot of this. I'm actually playing through it. I don't remember a lot of the story, and I don't think a lot of it was explained, at least in the initial version. But the whole point, a huge part of the storyline is that the entire upper leadership of the church in that world is like Galobitus or something like that. The entire upper leadership of the church in that game is pure evil and corrupt, which I think is very much in line with how it works in the States. So I see actually a lot of parallels there. It's just an interesting thing I've been playing lately.
Yeah, it's been a long time for me, but yeah, as you were talking about it, I started remembering having to fight the guys dressed like crusaders and shit.
Yeah, and it's basically one of my favorite games of all time. So, that's that.
Yeah, I was hooked on it for a while. I played a lot of it.
I'm a former MMO player, so didn't really get into the whole Final Fantasy thing. Anything that's a console game, I've never played.
Well, Final Fantasy is probably up until, I think I would say that 12 was the last good Final Fantasy game, and 12 was basically a one-player version of Warcraft with a storyline. I did not like the gameplay of 12. It was too much. It was too MMO for me. But everything, like the story of it, was great. You play Final Fantasy games.
See, that's the thing.
Story.
I don't really want my games to have stories or quests. I don't care about the story. I have books for that. So, I'm kind of hard-nosed that way.
So
I really don't care.
A lot of the Final Fantasy games don't have quests. Quests only came up for Final Fantasy games in 12, which is one of the reasons I'm not so fond of it. It is a lot, very much for the story though, and that's the reason I like it. Is because it's basically an interactive novel.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, I like that too. I like games that are cinematic with lots of story.
Yeah, that is. I will take a good story-driven JRPG over any novel anytime.
Okay, people. We've been going almost 3.5 hours here, and unfortunately, where I'm at, absolutely everything closes at 5 o'clock.
Oh.
So I need to get off the computer if I'm going to get my prescriptions today.
Yeah, so okay, that's understandable. Thank you for hosting.
Yep.
Thanks for having me on.
Well, if anybody has any last words or anything they need to plug.
The only thing I'm plugging right now is Doc Fearsome's campaign to get a car.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, donate to.
Let us check here and let's see what we've been doing lately.
Unfortunately, we've kind of stalled.
Yeah, okay. This is not a good thing. We have just
in the first hour of the stream, we got 3 more donations, and we've had nothing else come in the last 2 hours.
No, we're talking to the same 11 people, but other people are going to be running the fundraiser.
Yep.
And hopefully
if people will share the links around.
Yeah, that's the most important thing you can do.
Yeah, I've tossed them both out on Twitter and Facebook, and I've even retweeted a couple of the retweets. So there's the other thing we can do. Let's see how deeply we can retweet. You know, like Diana has retweeted Neil, who has retweeted Nadine. Who's going to retweet Diana now? You know?
Okay.
I mean, every dollar helps. So if all you have is a cup of coffee's worth of donation, it
Your
helps.
donation
We
vet
whittle if we
another
whittle
day
it
without
down, whittle bit at a time. We
I
can
do see
do
that we
this.
have. I do see that we have 4 shares now here on the GoFundMe. It was 3 a while back, so somebody was nice to share it from the GoFundMe page. And you, little
Okay.
kittiness, why are you destroying my glasses? Why are you doing that? I need these.
Well, I just shared directly from the GoFundMe.
Say again.
I just shared directly from the
Oh,
GoFundMe
that was
after
you.
you were
Okay.
saying that.
Thank you.
I don't
Yay.
know if it was me or not. So
Well, the share count went from 3 to 4.
that was before I shared it, though.
Oh, it
Well,
was.
I see on Twitter that
That's weird because I know I've shared it at least 4 times.
Okay, I've done one of each now.
yeah,
Yay.
Hans has also just sent it out on Twitter.
Now, are we going to do anything later? Are we going to have any more marathoning?
I would like to.
Oh, great! This is
I would like to
wonderful.
because you know.
I'll make sure to
Really?
mention it on Nuanced Nonsense as well.
Do you
Well,
have
I'll
a
definitely be plugging it in my Thursday late night.
Do you have a time in mind, Faye, or just going to wing it?
I'll probably like start one in the next half hour or so.
Oh, okay. Because what I was wondering was, getting the word out there and letting people know what was going on. Yay!
Yeah. Yeah, because it's something that's important to me, and I know that when my refrigerator broke, people all pulled together and
Yes.
helped me get a refrigerator. No longer have to keep my medication in a cooler. No longer have to live on trail mix.
I
So
remember
I
that.
have complete and other like thank yous that go so deeply. A little bit goes a long way when it comes to kindness, and kindness is
Yeah.
contagious, in my opinion. So
We
the only thing that we really can do is stand together, get this done, and hopefully, like Doc will have a better quality of life when he gets his car, and we have 2 weeks to do it. So
Yeah,
we really
actually,
need to
Faye,
focus.
I kind of marked that one of getting a refrigerator. To me, seemed to really be the point when this became a community.
Yeah,
I would say so.
in my opinion.
Do I remember that?
It was shocking because like nobody asked me if that's what I wanted, and I was kind of like, I'll be honest, I was embarrassed, but I cannot say how grateful I am for it. I
Yeah.
mean, wow, it
Again,
made.
it's something that we have a social training for, that we're embarrassed to ask for help no matter how badly we need it.
And I felt like in the beginning I was pushing the fundraiser on Doc, but Doc was really like hesitant in the beginning and got him
Yeah,
started to come around.
You weren't pushing anything. It was exactly as Purple said there. I was kind of embarrassed about my sort of emotional unloading online.
Yeah.
I did some of that and
I get it, but like when
yeah.
I was complaining to my friend about the refrigerator, it was because I didn't know how I was going to be able to keep my medicine from rotting.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's super
Yeah, you're
expensive.
insulin dependent, if I remember correctly, right?
No, I have a different medication that
Oh.
has to be refrigerated. It does regulate my sugar, and I do have to inject it, but it is not insulin.
Ah, okay.
It is something. It is diabetes medication. However, it is not insulin. However, you have to keep it at a certain temperature or it goes bad, and it is expensive.
Yeah. Tria is asking about how long the fundraiser is going to last.
until
Doc
we
put
make it.
down a couple $100 on a car,
As long as we need to.
but they're only willing to hold the car for 2 weeks.
Well, I should say, actually, I did ask the guy, and I could put some more money down and hold it a little longer. I just don't know how long they're going to do
But does
that.
that holding money count towards the price of the car?
As I understand it, he said they'll give it back, but I kind of doubt that means if I don't buy the car.
Okay.
If I buy the car, they'll give it back. In which case, I'll just credit it to the purchase.
Okay.
Okay.
Because, right now I'm looking at it as a rental fee to keep it open.
Pretty much, yeah.
It's probably more like layaway.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
at this point, I realized that like the last week of the month is a really bad time to run a fundraiser for a lot of people.
Yeah.
So I'm hopeful that next week at the beginning of the month it'll be a little easier for some people to give.
It's also harder on a Monday after you've had your weekend.
Well, I chipped in, but it's not showing up, so I guess I'm not shaving I guess I'm not shaving until Thursday.
But hopefully, like Purple, you need to go. So, but hopefully this becomes a thing where people care about other people's quality of life. I mean, I know some people have walked to work and blah 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 and may not think of it. Iowa kind of sucks weather-wise, and why is it that we are okay with other people suffering just because we have? Nobody needs to suffer in this world, and that is something I would like to reduce. The amount of suffering a human being has to do in order to make it throughout the day.
Yeah.
So let's not be like, oh, it's a hardship, big deal. It's like, no, it's a hardship. Let's stop it. So anyway, I'm done with my soapbox.
May, the GoFundMe does take a few minutes to process things.
Yeah.
But I just refreshed the link and it's showing your donation now.
Yay!
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yay.
So I have to be going here.
Yeah, we don't want you to go without medication.
Well, I probably have 2 days left if I don't manage to get it today, but
we don't want you to go without
everything
medication.
here closes by 5 o'clock and it's 3:30 now, so
that's fine.
Get any errands done.
I'm super. I go like well before I run out to get my refills, so I totally get that.
Yeah, I should probably get some dinner while we're at it. So.
All right, and I need to figure out my own thing and draw up a thumbnail.
I had bought bagged salad a few days ago, and then I ate 4 of those bags yesterday.
Well, thank you everybody for joining us. Yeah, so I'm going to shut down the broadcast here.
Thank you for hosting.
Yeah, thanks.
Yay!
Thank you so much, everybody, helping out.
I will again be, posting the link when I do my Thursday night chat. So,
okay.
Hopefully we can get some more help then, because that'll be a completely different audience.
I'll try to chill it when I'm doing my podcast on Sunday.
Sounds great.
Okay, later all.